gonna click record. I'm clicking record. Now I'm clicking cast, start stream. Now you cannot minimize Zoom when you're recording. Oh, this is news. This should be live. Okay.
It does say recording.
Yeah, well, I'm recording on Zoom, but I'm also
live casting it at the same time.
Yeah. And okay, so I see recording there, and I just want to go to YouTube. No, it still says offline right here. Go live control room. Come on. Come on. Take your time. Any minute. And oh no, it says I should be streaming. Yeah.
Do you want me to go to YouTube to look at something?
Maybe. I just refreshed something. I was gonna ask Jake to do it, but just refreshing mine. Yeah, no, it still says offline. Booty.
So YouTube.com, then where do I go?
Cop control. All right. From Zoom. Where's the chat? Okay, chat, and then Control V. All right, so I'm sending you the link. Tell me what you get.
Where are you sending it?
In chat in Zoom.
Oh. Giancarlo pod. Yep, we're on there.
Oh, yeah? Look at us. All right. So then I'm going to close mine out to make sure there's no like feedback loop. I'm going to close this out because recording. So, okay, number one, I know it's recording. Number two, we know it's streaming. So we're live now. Yay, hey, okay. And number three is the podcast portion, which, so did I tell you about the RSS thing?
No.
Okay, so in order to have a podcast that gets syndicated to like a lot of different areas, which means like sent to all sorts of you have to have what's called an RSS, which is like a place. It's pretty much like Facebook, it's like you send it to this place and then people pick it up from there, Most RSSs, they cost, they ask for money. And so I'm not doing anything. Just, I have this cousin right now. You don't know her. She's texting me. Jessica wants she wants the link, but
I love her.
She's been so nice about the podcast. I think this is it. Send it to everyone. Anyway, so your podcast portion, I was just hanging out. Anyway, your podcast portion is, we're still going to do it. I still feel like it's going to be like a normal idea, but long story short, I'm not going to be able to post it till some other time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll still be posting the videos though. Like the videos will go live instantly after the podcast, but then I'm gonna upload a second video later, which is gonna be edited and showing your face and my face better. Speaking of which, am I allowed to be picky and say I was hoping for the camera to be like at the top of your head? Oh, wow, look at that shot. That's a nice shot.
That?
Yeah, now we're like more centered, I feel, like you don't.
You sit at the top of my head, I'm like.
Yeah, not like that. Well, anyway, you were telling me about your day. you were telling me about, and then I was like, wait, just stop. We can save this for the podcast. This is interesting. So, hey, Adri, for anyone who's tuned in, for anyone, should we do intros or do you want to just tell me about the day?
My name is Adrianna. I know Giancarlo because he's my brother.
Long intro.
I think that's all you need to know.
Yeah, Adri, my sister, first podcast, first episode. What? Dang it. Sorry, I'm getting text. Trying to. Oh, she put it in the cousin's profile.
That
I
makes
didn't
sense.
realize that. I was like, oh. And then my friend Richard's now spamming me, which he's probably watching. So he could just, there you go. You happy? I said your name. What's he saying? Dude, you gotta look up how to put your links in your bio because no one could click on them. Dude, those look like you planned access. Yeah, I was having trouble with that. Yeah, no, so I wasn't able to put a clickable link on Instagram because like apparently you have to have like 10,000 followers before you can have that swipe thing. I don't know. And like everything else, it's all costing money. But yeah, Richard luckily just sent me some information on how to send it properly. Anyway, so yeah, your day. Please tell me about your day. Sorry.
I worked today. Started work at 7:15, and that was fine. Nothing major. I work at a vet, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. Today was okay. And then I knew I had this podcast, and I was super excited to do it, and I knew it was going to be recorded. So I ran home, and then I like put my hair down and made it all pretty, and then I got my earrings on because I don't do that at the vet, and I did my makeup. So this is all for y'all.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the effort. My effort was like actually to be honest, I'm not even kidding. My effort was making sure I jogged this morning. My
Good.
effort like I was like, you know what? When I feel like when I'm focused on myself is when it sounds so selfish, but when I'm focused on myself is when like I'm the best around people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um so yeah, I was like, in order for me to do this, I feel like I'm just gonna, yeah, just kind of focus on myself, listen to some podcasts and think of some stuff. Um, actually, I didn't want to go straight to these. Wait, yeah. So I didn't want to go straight to these sticky notes already, but there are things that I have had here for a long time that mommy told me to ask you, which I'm trying to find right now. Which one is which?
Why is she telling you to ask me questions?
One of those things where her and I were dying laughing about memories. You know, we're like, oh, back club sport, oh, so much fun, and like, and yeah, so we're just remembering like fucking racquetball, and yeah, I don't know why it's not there, but I do think I remember what the thing was. We were talking about racquetball, and I think she told me to tell you. Do you remember the story of the ball getting caught in your sleeve?
I don't remember it so much happening, but you guys bring it up all the time, so I know the story.
Do you want to say it for us? No. Is that the one? But yeah,
Like, I
that was,
think I vaguely remember it happening because, like, it was so strange, but, like, not as much as you guys remember it.
dude, I remember. Yeah, obviously we have the best part is that we don't know how to play racquetball at all. So it's like, yeah, so we were literally just in there, just like doing absolute whatever.
Wherever the ball went.
Kind of like taking turns essentially to hit the ball with all that aggression and it wouldn't but anyway, and then yeah, I know one time you had a sweater which like had, yeah, and then the ball got in there, and so for a long time we just like, you hit it and then we're just looking for the ball and we're like, where'd it go? And like and there were like these tiny little holes up at the top that it's like technically it could have gotten all the way up there, but we're like, did we all miss that? And then yeah, I think we were honestly like almost packing it in. I think like not like done for the day, but I think we were like, okay, I guess like we got to go get another one or something. And then like as you put your arm down, like it fell to your sleeve, and you're like, uh, so yeah, I'll never get that. That was just timing. I love that one. Ooh, okay. This one's for me. This one I wrote down and it randomly popped in my mind at like, midnight. And I was like, okay, write it down. Don't forget. Because I will forget. Dude, and this has almost nothing to do with the stream except for the fact that it's kind of interesting, but like there's more me just like talking to you. Do you remember the trailer? Do you
Yeah.
remember when we would get home, you would know if the TV's on?
Yeah.
The fuck's that about?
It's just I think just TVs, like, when they're on, they have a frequency, and I'm just more attuned to the frequency than other people, because like sometimes the TV would be on, but it was a black screen, but apparently no one else knew that it was on, but I'd be like, there's a noise, and I'm like, the TV's on, and you and Daddy are like, no, it's not, and I'm like, yeah, it is. And then you guys would like click it, and then it would turn off like blink, and I was
Yeah.
like, but yeah, you guys never notice. But I hear it, so I feel like it's just a higher frequency, like a dog.
You know, like pets.
Yeah.
Um, I'm surprised. I think I was able to pick up on it a little bit, but do you remember when I was a kid, I had an issue with like my forehead? I had like, this sounds so stupid. This is so embarrassing. I remember I was like crying to you one time, complaining, saying like, it feels like there's a force field in front of my forehead. And like, if something just gets near it, I just feel this like pressure, even though it's not touching me.
I feel like I vaguely remember that, but not that exactly. Like I remember something like a pain with your forehead, but not force fields or anything.
I mean, I think I remember just explaining it like that once, and that's
Yeah.
what burned in my mind, like, oh, force field. Like, but yeah, I just remember just like feeling this like phantom pressure that wasn't there. But I remember the main thing was like I could open my eyes and I would know if someone's hand was there or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like I literally felt when something was there, even though I wasn't like seeing it. So I wasn't sure if that had to do with like our psychic abilities of knowing if the TV's on. That's a pretty cool
Yeah.
ability. Which segue, oh my god. You want to hear something super lame? Um, I'll just go into
Always.
it. I was contemplating today the idea that if you replace the word telepathy or like telekinesis, what we see in like movies, not real shit, like movies, um, with the internet, it kind of makes sense. And what I'm saying is that like with telepathy, I can send you a message without saying anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can do that with the internet.
What do you
With
mean?
I can send you a message without saying anything.
True. Yes. Okay.
Um, with telepathy, you can move objects that you're not near or touching, but normally they have to be like metal or some sort of thing that you like. Oh, I could only move ceramic for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
What if it was I can only move things with circuit boards? I can only move computers. So like from here, I hit a button, and over there, the fucking door closes.
Mm-hmm.
From here, I send you a text, and over there, your phone vibrates.
Yeah.
I'm moving your phone with my mind. Yeah, I was playing with that idea. I think that was the one on the jog today. I was like, you know what? When that's exactly it. It's like when you're on your jog, you're kind of in your own head, obviously, and
Oh
that
yeah.
was my mind. What do you think? Telepathy is just the internet.
I
Yes, is
think that is your thought that you came up with.
you don't agree.
I'm not so much of a visionary as you are.
Where don't you agree?
Uh,
Like, oh, I hate, uh.
uh, I just feel like they're two completely different things.
In what way?
Trying to think of a crazy explanation. Oh, I remember like in college, I took a research and development class, and there was this point, I don't remember the whole document, but it was the point of like, you have to like be reputable in your claims and your research and all that kind of stuff. And like one of the points was saying like 100%, let's say, 100% of bread eaters die. Like, so bread is poisonous and kills everybody. And then it's like, but is that correlated? Like, yes, everyone who eats bread is going to die because you're a human. But is that correlated? So that's just what it makes me think of. Like, they're just two different things.
What about tortillas? Can I have tortillas?
Always, you're Mexican.
Don't don't have bread. Eat tortillas.
Yeah,
The internet is telekinesis. Got it.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think we're
yeah.
on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Check this out. You want to see some telekinesis? I'm gonna turn off this light switch right now. Boom! With my mind. With
Because
my
you thought about turning it off, right?
boom! I turned it on.
Like, what's it called? The doors that you walk through, not through, but like that they open because they see you.
The ones they do the force to.
Yeah.
I I can get really deep into it, and I have a lot of podcasts to go, so I'll make fun of myself later.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think I'm not. What I think you were pointing out is correlation doesn't equal causation. You know,
Yeah.
like yeah, you can put those 2 points together, but it's like it's the same thing as like wording something in a mean negative way. It's like yeah, when you say it like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's always the fine details. Like that's what Jake and I talk about a lot. We're always saying like how you'll hear statistics like, oh, in the past you used to be able to do certain amount of things, and it's like maybe once. Like maybe that happened once in history, but most of the time that didn't happen. And now they're saying that's the standard because it happened once, you know? Um, but anyway, so yeah, correlation doesn't equal causation. But yeah, I think the general I'll just end on this. The general idea with like telekinesis was slash is that there's like this like not dimension but this other sense that you can tap into, right? And isn't it interesting when you tap into the internet and you start getting all this information and then you start sending all this information and you're able to make money, lose money, you're able to do so much, it's like this other sense. It's like this superhuman.
I think I think that's an interesting way of looking at it because obviously I don't look at it that way and haven't ever thought of it that way. Um, I more think of it as a tool. But yeah, I think that's interesting that you look at it that way.
And maybe the internet is an easy thing to say, but I also say technology in general because the internet, you need Wi-Fi, you need Bluetooth, you need all this other stuff. So it's
You
like
need technology to access it. So yeah.
so I mean technology as a whole, but yeah, it's like if you compare a human with a smartphone versus a human without a smartphone, one's almost super powerful. One's almost like stronger than the other simply because what they have.
Mm.
So talk about the differences of Mexico and USA. We got our first request. That would be awesome. Oh. Since it's Jessica and since she's watching, yes. Because I'm a vampire. Yeah. Yeah. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Oh, I haven't heard that in forever. That was good. That was good. That made it all worth it.
Yeah, that was. I was thinking about that again the other night. And is that one written down? I don't know. I have so many notes, but yeah, I remember that one, and so I was super glad when she was texting me. I was like, yeah. Differences between Mexico and U.S. My main one, I'll say right now, the easy one, and this is not like what's the word? As deep as a thought as I wish it was. You know, I wish there was something like, oh, you know, the economics and the people and the humanity of it all. Dude, the tacos. I know it's so annoying, but like, oh, dude, I
Oh
love
my God.
what.
I mean, I don't know what else I expected you to say, but that's not what I thought you were going to say.
Dude, all I do here is talk shit on how Americans don't know what real tacos are. That's all
All
I
I
do.
can imagine is like, all I do all day is think about how shitty the fucking tacos are here. Like,
I just
just.
cry eating Taco Bell, the salt going in, just uh. I yeah, no, Richard sends me to a lot of good places. He knows some good taco trucks, but it's always the thing. It's always like you got to find these hidden areas. You know, it's hard to
Yeah,
find. Um, Within town, there's only one place I like, uh, and then yeah, and it's like super authentic. It feels really authentic, and now the guy and I know each other, and so it's like yeah, it's I like going there, but no, and then obviously you go to Mexico and yeah, it's just every effing street corner, every other effing street corner, or seriously, like at 2 in the morning. Oh my god, at two in the you know what don't yeah. So now I'm stuck here just wanting tacos at 2 in the morning.
sorry. Have you watched the have you watched the documentary on Netflix about tacos?
No, and here I am just like they don't know real time.
No, like I haven't seen it, but my girlfriend, she's like, I don't want to say a taco connoisseur or anything, but like her fiance is very Mexican, and she like visits the family often, and she appreciates. So, she was like, when I didn't have Netflix, she's like, you have to watch this documentary. I'm like, about what? And she's like, it's about tacos. I'm like, this sounds the stupidest
Yeah,
thing. Like,
sure.
I'm gonna watch a documentary about tacos, but I saw the trailer for it. Like they really get deep into it. Like it seems really like super and like super Hispanic, super like Mexican. Like they really talk about like the flavors and the culture and all the stuff. And like you see it all, and I'm like, that looks good. Like, yeah. So watch that. Maybe it'll make you cry or something, but you know,
Yeah.
watch that.
Don't have Taco Bell during and just be like upset the whole time.
Just throw it.
I did get into Euros because of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you took me to that Greek place and I was like,
Oh, I did. Yes. So the first thing I thought you meant like money euros, and I was like,
they're called Euros, right?
that is I don't really know, but I know it's spelled the Gyros, right?
Gyros.
Yeah.
Gyros.
I don't know how to say it, but yeah, that stuff is delicious.
Yeah, do you know sponsor moment. You know Arby's has them?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Arby's has them. Obviously it's fast food, so it's but you know, still there's something about me that it's like, hey, I'm not having that level of fast food. I'm having Arby's Euro. Like it's like I'm patting myself on the back, you know.
Special.
But yeah, they have like the 2 for $6 sponsor, and it's like so good. I love it. Um, sorry, I had it last night. That's also part of it.
Got it.
Okay,
Fresh
wait.
in the mind, still in the tummy. I mean, I'm going to say about Mexico and America, something that I've always realized since I was younger and that I've really appreciated is, other than tacos, is like the culture, I think, is much more beautiful than American culture. And I don't want to say I don't like being an American. I feel like I'm already going to get in so much trouble. I'm going to die. But anyways, like, I just remember growing up every time, because we would visit Mexico every summer, and I just thought that the family life and everything was much more beautiful in Mexico. I mean, I always thought America was a little cleaner, so that was kind of nice.
That's true.
But the love and the family and the culture and all that they had, and even like what they didn't have, like it still worked out. Like I just thought it was more beautiful, and all the colors and everything and their traditions. Like I felt like they had real traditions and not just like 4th of July fireworks and hot dogs and burgers. And I'm like, wow, that's super cool. And I just like never felt as close to the, I don't want to say culture in America, because I'm obviously very American, but I just feel like that culture has always been more beautiful.
Yeah, the two things that come to mind is like number one, they're more lively.
Yeah.
They're a lot more lively, a lot more active, and with that, as well as it's a very expressive place. They're more expressive
Yeah.
as well, and so you're able, when you just live in a culture that expresses itself more, not only do you express yourself more, but yeah, you're able to take it to these next levels in a sense. And I feel like, yeah, I see that a lot here, is that I'll see like, yeah, just white people that I'm like, why is this a big deal? Why can't we just like connect? Why can't we just like, why is this even a barrier? I remember one of the barriers, and maybe this isn't a great point. Maybe there's more person to person. I totally agree. But I'd say definitely more common in America than Mexico is people to be like picky about their food, like meh, meh. Where in Mexico, people are like, please eat my food. Please try this. Like they're just like, try it. Please try it. Here, if you literally say like, can I have one French fry? They're I'm like, they get so upset. And it's like, oh, all right, I apologize, I guess.
What is that? Is that like Wario? No, who is that?
Actually, we do that a lot. and what is it, Mario Party? Like when there's this one game when you knock them out, you just hear go.
Yeah, I actually just played Mario Party 8, I think like just 2 weeks ago with Daniel's kids and stuff. So like, and he was playing with us. So I just heard this recently. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
we were dying laughing because we played this one game over and over and over and over again just because of his like scream. Just,
such a loser.
yeah.
Like I was like, don't make fun of people. Everybody's equal. You're not better than other people. They all have their own like lives and stuff. But here I am with like his kids, and I'm like, look at that loser. And I'm like, he's just like this, and he's like, wow. I'm like,
judge them. Actually,
ugh.
I'm not sure if I ever said this to you, but I thought what was interesting is you like surreal channels, surreal TV, like reality TV, like yeah, we're on the same page.
The Bachelor.
The Bachelor.
Very American of me, I'll admit it.
Very, in my opinion, I'd say niche area. It's a very specific type of filming that goes on there. But oh man, I'm losing my train of thought right now. With the type of stuff you like, nope, it's gone now.
Well, we can just talk about The Bachelor the whole time. That's totally fine.
I love it. I actually love it when mommy brings up The Bachelor. I get super excited because she gets excited. She's just like, when she can't help herself to bring it up, she's like, I know you don't want to hear it, but he goes and picks this one girl, and I'm like, oh, she's like, I'm just like, no, come on, give it to me.
I love it.
Funny enough, thank you for saving me. That's actually exactly where I was going with it, was how I think you guys, I'll say you and mommy, use The Bachelor and shows like it to judge, to get away with judging people, but not in a bad way. So
Maybe.
it's like, Yeah, so in your day-to-day life, you don't judge people. You're above that. You know, you don't need that. But you're a human, and so you still have judgment in you. You still like see it, you know. So I feel like you get that out when you're watching these shows, and you're like, "Fuck that girl!" Like I hate them. I hate that. Or it's like I like her. She's good. She's good. Where you would never do that in person. You would never. Me, I'm a little
I
more
mean, you don't
eccentric.
like someone, you don't like someone. Like in real life, I don't have to be like rude or mean to them, but like I worked with
Oh,
someone
sure,
I
sure.
didn't like today and can't fucking stand them.
Oh,
But
you hear it. Dish, dish,
oh
dish.
no,
No, I
it
know.
is what it is.
I was honestly thinking about like I was like, I can't talk shit on anyone ever, like anymore.
What do you mean?
The internet is it just made the world so small. Dude, it freaked me out. I'm not kidding. It freaked me out. I made one post on Instagram, which obviously you know I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
I made one post and like 50 people saw it. And for me, I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously, you know, like a lot of people like have like trillions and thousands of viewers and stuff like that. But I expected 20 at the max, 20 at the max. And for 20 to happen within like 2 hours, I was like, where are these people coming from? Like, what? Like, oh yeah, I do remember all these people. Like, and so it was really crazy for me to feel like how small the world was again. Yeah. Cause you know, cause like, okay, all right, now I get to say it. Growing up moving all the time.
Yeah, I knew this is where it was heading. Yeah.
Uh, growing up moving all the time. Yeah, it's just like you never know, like those people that you just assume you're never gonna see again.
Yeah.
And I feel like especially before fucking MySpace and stuff like that, it was a safe assumption.
Yeah.
Like they literally like talk about, I was hearing a podcast about how like when people would get in trouble at work, you know, especially in religion, how they would just move them from one church to one place to a different place or a different state. um and uh and yeah, like it's, you can literally just like escape your past sometimes by just moving. Nowadays, like it's following you, man.
Yeah.
So not that I'm complaining. I think it's really cool. Thanks for checking it out, actually, if anyone is there. But but yeah, it felt like those people were gone. So it's crazy to me that there was people there. How many people do you keep in contact with, like from the old days?
Oh, I don't know. And the thing is like it's so intermittent. Like,
Oh,
um,
yeah,
I
constant.
just like hit up a friend from Wenatchee when I lived there like what, 10 years ago. Just to tell her I
Wenatchee
love
was
her.
10 years ago now.
Well, I mean, I guess it's like the last time I saw her
Oh,
ish.
okay.
Um, maybe 8.
Yeah,
But
I'm 8-7, I think.
yeah, I just texted her like the other day, like last week, and told her like I love her and stuff. And there are just like some friends that you know like you really cherish and you just kind of keep some open communication. I was in Argentina visiting a few months ago, and an old friend from high school when we lived in Claremont, Florida, actually just wrote me out of the blue and wanted to see how I was doing. And he's a really sweet guy. And he was telling me about his family and his wife's a nurse and all this stuff. So, I mean, like, it just randomly sometimes that stuff just pops up and shows up.
Yeah, I've definitely been the guy to just randomly text people and be like, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Like, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Um, I was really close to hitting up Ryan recently, and the only reason I didn't was because like it was kind of late, and I ended up Facebook stalking him for a second, and I saw that he has 3 kids.
No way. That's
Little Ryan
exciting.
has 3 kids, and not little, you know, but like yeah, that's how I remember him.
He's
But
little Ryan. Yeah.
yeah, it's and I saw, dude, they look like him. They look like
Oh,
him. Oh, little troublemakers, little troublemakers. But yeah, that surprised me. But yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'll text them on like a time that I feel is more like I could be more giving too, like not
Yeah.
just sup, bro, because yeah, he has
Yeah.
a whole family to deal with now, But yeah, hitting up those random people. I did I tell you when I was in Wenatchee? So yeah, I was living in Wenatchee. When Emily and I were living in Wenatchee, we made plans to go to Florida to Disney World, and Jake and Jake and I were still like really good friends like online. And he met us there. So I thought that was really cool how like I had like a wide group of friends in Florida, which is also a place that I used to live. Um, but while we were in Florida, I ran into a friend of mine that I used to work with.
Hmm.
Um, in Epcot in the Mexican area where they have the pyramid or whatever. They like we just walk by each other, we scope each other, and I just walk and we just have our hands out, and his name's Sam. I can't remember his last name now, but yeah, I was like, Sam? He's like, Giancarlo? Like, mother, we're almost like upset. It sounded like we were upset with each other. Like, what are you doing here? This is my day. Like, but yeah,
Who
and
let you back into my life?
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's like you just never expect to see those people again.
I haven't really had anything like that. The only time I have, I mean, I probably have had another one, but all I can really remember is one time I was here in Tri-Cities at Olive Garden, and I was walking out leaving, and there was a group waiting, and we happened to pass the group, and I recognized one of them was a girl who had trained me in working, a girl named Hannah, who's really awesome. I love her. And she trained me how to be a barista at my first job in Wenatchee.
Hmm.
So, like, I mean, it was the same state, but like different cities, different times, different lives. Like, I had no idea, but I totally recognized her. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dude, one time I was walking with a group of friends in the middle of the night, and we were in Oakdale, and Oakdale's not scary, but it's still definitely not the time that you're supposed to be out. And it's not that we were in the ghetto like of Oakdale, but we just were like in some alley-ish ways. So it's just like a shady area is all I'll say. Um, and yeah, like group two guys, two girls walking one way on the sidewalk, group of like I think two guys and two girls also walking this way on the sidewalk, and it's like the middle of the night, and the guy like gets like really close to my face that like we're walking into each other, and he's like, Giancarlo, and I'm like, oh, what's up? And it was I'm pretty sure it was my friend Thomas. um no, no, yeah, Thomas, because Troy is his brother. It was Thomas and Troy, their brothers, but I'm pretty sure it was Thomas. um And Thomas just goes, we're about to mug you. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. Like, and I was like, oh, well, I'm glad you did it,
But you'd
because,
be a great witness, and you would put us away for a
yeah,
while.
yeah, I
So
would
we
never do
decided
this
not to.
anymore. Yeah. Why, Thomas, why? But yeah, I remember, obviously in the moment you play it cool, you're like, oh shit, like, fuck, man. Well, and I'm hanging out with them, talking to them, making it fun. But as we walked away, I told the group because they didn't hear it. As I walked away, I told the group, and they were like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Yeah, just let's go home. Let's like get indoors, like now, like soon. How about that? Soon." Um, yeah, that was a weird night. I mean, except that was a weird moment.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird moments, I have a transition. Unless you have something else to say,
I don't.
I wanted you to talk about Argentina and
Hmm.
your whole experience there because yeah, you got dude, I mean, also cool to think of. You know how like now that it's quarantine, right? We're literally in quarantine right now because of Corona. Um, it obviously like this is a part of history now. This is gonna be in the history books, you
True.
know. um, you have a part of history now. Like when people like, oh, I remember where I was when 9/11 happened. Not that I'm talking shit on that, but you know, you just always hear people say that. Like that's the thing, you know, you never forget where you were. Um, what was the thing that happened to you when Corona happened? You know, it's like, oh, I don't know. Got caught in Argentina for what, 4 months?
Oh no, 2.5.
Oh, okay. 2.5. That's easy.
It was almost 4 months. So basically, not that like I just jumped from 2.5 months to 4, like
Yeah.
almost, but basically what had happened was is I went to Argentina to visit my boyfriend, and because he's there right now, and he's living in Buenos Aires, um, Palermo, Hollywood, Palermo, and it's a very nice area. It's like centrally located. Everything's pretty close nearby. There's like a shopping center, walking distance, really good restaurants all around. Osaka, El Peruanito Rey, all these things. It was really nice. And good weather. I was there end of February and March, and a bit April and May, kind of. So it was a great time. I had a good time. The weather was great. He lived in still lives right now, in a nice apartment that had a really nice view. And so I would he was still working and I was just visiting. So I would go like sunbathing and stuff at the pool and everything. And it was, time so we could see each other because we hadn't seen each other in a while. Um, but also I got to focus on my schoolwork because I'm doing schoolwork online to be a teacher. So I was just doing that. And my flight was going to fly out March 16th, and they closed the borders on March 15th, so the day before. And it was kind of a Hail Mary because I kind of didn't want to go back to the US anyways, because watching the news, it was so crazy. And I was just like, I don't even know. And, there's so many people at airports and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like everyone's running around right now and everyone's crowding. Like, I feel like this is the time to not be in a airport. And I had to tell my boss if I was going to go back or not. But then I was like, oh, borders are closed. Looks like I'm stuck. And I got to spend more time with him, so I was happy about that. And they like rescheduled my flight for like a month out, except when they started the quarantine, it was a strict quarantine in Argentina. They had it to where no one was able to go out at all. They had police monitoring the streets, going around, and cop cars and all that kind of stuff. And people who would like walk their own dogs like were arrested. And we were watching the news, and so we saw like people with a bunch of dogs on leash just at jail and stuff, and just right there and being taken. So it was just like, lots of people were getting arrested, and the only things that were open were grocery stores, like not even corner stores or anything, but grocery stores, pharmacies, and emergency rooms. And you had to like prove that you have an emergency to go to, or prove that you had like a prescription to fill. And like they don't do so much of like the plastic bags there, so you have to have your reusable bags to kind of show that you're going to go grocery shopping. And it's not like you could really go anywhere else anyways, because everything was legit closed. Like you can't, I lost my phone in Argentina, so I couldn't get a new phone or anything like that because phone stores were closed. The longer I stayed, the colder it got, and I couldn't buy new clothes or jackets or anything like that. And I just brought little dresses because I was just going to be there in the summer. But yeah, I couldn't buy anything. We couldn't get anything. Daniel wanted a rice cooker. We didn't have one. We couldn't find one. So it's just like we were really limited. But I had a great time. I was stuck at home all day. Daniel, he was he did have to work because he works in food, and everything that was food production, they did stay open. And so he did have to go to work every day by taxi, and like he had papers to show why he had his reasons to go to work and stuff like that. And I just stayed home and studied and started doing like at home workouts because I had nothing else to do. And yeah, I got through a lot of my classwork. I slept really well. Most people who know me know that I'm constantly like, go, 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 do this. I don't know how to rest. And I still very much have that in me, but I don't let myself sleep that much. And like there were months at a time where I would sleep like 3 or 4 hours a night consistently. And I was just go, go, go all the time. And now I think more typically, or not now, but like right before Argentina, I was probably doing like 5, 6 hours a night consistently. And Argentina, I was doing like 8 to 10 consistently, which was like, and it definitely helped me slow down. So I appreciated it. You know, I was always cooking my meals before I went to Argentina, but I definitely got the opportunity to do that more, cooking for myself. And yeah, it was just a really like it forced me to slow down. It forced me to concentrate on myself. I lost quite a bit of weight while I was down there just because I had the time to. And you know, I think less stress, like you're not at work. I don't have to worry about catching anything because I really am indoors. um yeah, more sleep, working out, taking care of yourself. So yeah, it worked out really well. And I was with Daniel that whole time and I loved it. And I kind of didn't want to go back to the US because I remember watching all the news stuff and just seeing how crazy it was with all the riots and people being so upset about having to stay home or wear masks, where everyone in Argentina was pretty much dealing. Um, and I was really scared. And I felt like if I was going to be on a plane to go to the United States, I was pretty much guaranteed to die, which may seem dramatic. But
It was a weird time.
yeah, and Giancarlo knows, but I do have rheumatoid arthritis. So I do have to give myself injections every 2 weeks called Humira to like kind of keep my arthritis at bay so I can like walk and stuff because it's just so painful. So I have an autoimmune disease. So my stuff is really low. And so I can catch stuff pretty easily. So my flight back was Argentina to Chile, Chile to Miami, Miami to Denver, Denver to Seattle, Seattle to Pasco. And I'm like, with how many airports I'm going to be in, like, and how many people I'm going to be in contact with, like, this is all happening. Like, yeah, I didn't have much faith in myself, so I was kind of sad about it, but it all worked out just fine. And um, yeah, I've been back. I've been good since I've been back. I'm more, you know, go, go, go again. But definitely taking a little more time to sleep because I love sleep. And same with working out a little bit. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I love that you have like such a positive sounding outlook on it. Like, even though you did mention like, yeah, like you were afraid of dying, that's not very positive. But yeah, you're like, no, trip went great. Like, you're like, oh, you were caught in quarantine, you're like stuck there. It's like, yeah, had a great time, loved it.
I'm a
Yeah,
homebody.
yeah, I'm
I'm
a
an
home.
introvert. It was great.
I was like, yeah, I was just, I remember I was kind of, I don't know what, I was humble bragging by proxy through you. I was like, yeah, my sister's stuck in quarantine in Argentina. Life's tough. And you're like, loving it.
Yeah, you know, I feel really bad because a lot of people, they've had really negative effects on all this stuff, and like I really didn't. And I mean, the trip obviously wasn't perfect. Like, you know, like the water system, like the plumbing system in that place, like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that was
I was
too
trying to
much for
think.
me to handle. Nightmares. Like, oh,
Yeah.
and it was flooding all the time, and it was
What?
dripping all the time.
No, tell me more.
I don't even, I can't explain.
Oh, oh, the soul. I felt it. Okay, we'll talk about it next time. We got episodes. We got lots of.
No, it was just, it was all connected, and sometimes they shut it off, and I don't know, and I'm pretty sure like toilet kind of exploded, but I guess it didn't. I don't know. And then I want to shower, but then like there's water all over the floor, and I'm like, and so they have to turn off the water, and then they send a bunch of people, and they're like, "Oh, we don't do this." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what to do." And yeah, that was fun. So I mean, like, it wasn't perfect, you know, things happen, whatever, but it was definitely interesting. The majority was definitely good. Um, I had ozone therapy there. So I had like an experimental, not experimental treatment, because I mean, just in the United States, it's not approved by the FDA, but it's done in many other countries, like Mexico does it. But they do it in Argentina, and it's basically where they inject ozone into whatever part of your body that you have issues with. So they were doing my wrists and my ankles and my knees, and they would get an injection, like a needle, and fill ozone with it. So pretty much like you just see a syringe go woo, and it looked like it had nothing in it. And I'm like, this is what we're paying for? Just a whole lot of nothing. Okay, that's fine. And then they would inject it into me, and it was definitely uncomfortable. But over time, I felt like I definitely started feeling a difference and feeling better. And it definitely wasn't a cure for my arthritis, but I feel like it made a difference. So that was something interesting that I did down there that I can't do here.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just like lots of interesting things. And you know, you learn things about yourself, life lived, and it was good. I think honestly, the worst part of all of it was the flight back, because that was the all those different flights, all those different stops, and it was 40 hours altogether. And that was kind of like in the middle of really the pandemic was getting crazy. So the airports didn't have any restaurants open, and they didn't have really anything to help with anything. And I had a 10-hour layover in Chile, and so they just passed out like saltine crackers and Oreos and a juice box of apple juice, and like that was not enough for me to go on for 40 hours. So I was just exhausted. It was an embassy flight, so we had to get it like within 15 minutes, because everyone was buying the embassy flights, because there was no way to get out other than that. They put in a travel ban till September. And I was like, well, it's been fun here, you know, being 2.5 months, but like, no, I can't wait till September. Like, I have a life to get back to, our bills, I have all these things. And yeah, I was just a little crazy, and I like packed, and then I was like gone like within 12 hours because I had to go. So that was a little crazy. I was really tired. I had really bad turbulence on one of my really long flights, and I felt like that was it. So just like, you know, running on fumes. But other than that, it was great.
I love the positive view. Um, Even though I totally agree, the saltine and Oreos is just not enough. That's almost like a slap in the face, but I guess it does help. Um, I did want to just throw this out there. You know how long the body could live without food?
Isn't it like a week or two or something?
No, I think it's a lot longer. I think it's like,
Really?
yeah, a lot longer,
Hmm.
like close to a month.
Actually, I think you're right. It's water for like a week, right?
Water, you'll die within like 5 days to a week. Yeah. Food, you can survive, I think, like up to 2 months if you're, depending on the body type.
Yeah.
But yeah, your body can do that. But now, granted, it's not going to feel good. Um, Interesting point on that. Same with your breath. Your breathing, so why you breathe to have oxygen, right? Your body has enough oxygen to survive for like 20 minutes. But you're there's a system in your body to tell your lungs to keep working, because it's like, okay, if you don't breathe in 20 minutes you'll die. You
Yeah.
don't always want to be on the verge of death, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like we have this system that keeps us alive like 20 minutes. So if you learn how to bypass that system, you don't have to breathe for like 10 minutes. Like,
Weird.
yeah. Now you can get to parts where it becomes unhealthy and you're literally getting close to death, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
But same with the food. You can teach yourself how to get past it, and technically you don't need to eat for like weeks. Not saying it's healthy. And I'm not saying like, oh, so you're fine. Like, no, that's still bullshit. You were not ready for that. You know, you're a normal human being, and a normal human being needs a lot more food than that. So yeah. But I was watching David Blaine and he was saying that shit and it was so cool. I want to hear you say more stuff, but I got a cool text just now from Diego, which is Jesse's boyfriend. And
It's
it
Jesse.
said that, huh?
Oh, Jesse! For some reason, I thought you meant Jesse, like a boy, Jesse, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
Jesse?
It was just because it was how it was written. But
Yeah,
yeah, I normally say Jessica.
I
They
know her
said
as Yesy.
they said they're watching the stream, which is so cool. But they said the latency is just awful. And he says we're going to write over here if that's okay, which I don't know what he meant by write over here, but like text, I think is what he means.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah, because I'm probably being a bad person and I think they might be messaging me on YouTube. Oh no, okay, I don't have any comment. Oh yes, I do. Oh, they've been.
It's all his fault, but practice makes perfect. We're getting there. Thank you.
I also don't have the best tools available to me.
I also am just sitting here, so I'm doing great.
So Adri, we got. Wait, do you also have the YouTube stream open?
No.
Oh, okay,
What?
like if you did, you could mute it, and then yeah, she commented in our stream saying, "Hello, love you guys, miss you. You should talk about your two cultures, like the differences about Mexico and us, USA. Cause I'm a vampire." Um, let's see, come back for some paisa. Real tacos only in Mexico. Taco Bell is like a joke, straight up.
I'm sorry, but I do love Taco Bell. Like, I'm not saying it's better. But I love it. But I can't have any of it because there's so much sodium. So, yeah, that's a thing. Because with all the sodium, like if I eat it, all of my joints go boom. Like Giancarlo has seen pictures of my feet when they started like the arthritis, like it was just you couldn't even see like when it turned into a foot. Like it was just this huge. So yeah, no more Taco Bell for me.
Sorry, it says error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, but when I click stream health, it says it's healthy. So I'm like,
You can probably call Yessie through WhatsApp right now and then just see what she's seeing. Like ask her what's going on, what do you see? Because she'll really be the one who can tell you, even though something's telling you different.
I don't know if it's from us, but I'm writing you so we can keep it short conversation and really fun. Yeah, that's fine. I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna call. Well, I guess I'll call him right now because for some reason he's the one telling me, not her. But that's fine. All right, I'm gonna call him real quick, see what they say.
Guest speakers.
I know, right? Feels so cool. Feels like I'm bringing in people. Calling Mexico right now, but yeah, I didn't tell him I was calling. They're probably making out. Too busy.
Because
Lovebirds.
our stuff is what's exciting.
Lovebird. Yeah, that's why. Well, yeah, no, I think he was saying about the chat. So hopefully the video is coming in clear. Actually, if you don't mind, say a story real quick. I'm just gonna tell Jake to check the video outside.
Oh, okay. You just put me on the spot like I didn't have a story ready.
Good luck. I believe.
Okay. Hi, you guys.
Let me see. I gotta mention the concert at Argentina. That's cool.
Oh, we saw the Backstreet Boys. I have a ticket. I have 2 tickets, but I can't show you because if I got them, then I would get off camera, which is pretty much, I guess, what we're avoiding right now because of them. So, anyways, when I went to Argentina, Daniel surprised me with Backstreet Boys tickets because I've loved them since 4th grade. And the Backstreet Boys are still amazing. And yes, they're still together. People keep asking that. I don't know why that's even a question. Like, they're amazing.
Obvi-
NSYNC is not together. Also not a
Ooh,
surprise to me, but
ooh.
whatever. Fighting words. But anyways, and also AJ is on Dancing with the Stars right
All
now.
those, to
I
all
don't
those.
watch it, but I follow him on Instagram, so I know that. Yeah, pretty much. So that's cool. Yeah, the concert was great, and obviously they did a bunch of songs that I knew because I absolutely love them. We sat next to like 2 Argentinians who were super more fanatic than I was, and that was fun to watch. And it was a great time. Yeah.
I'm checking the messages she sent me.
Also, random fact, I love having long nails. So, I mean, those aren't the longest, but basically this whole time while we've been doing the podcast and I keep looking down, it's because I've been just working on my nails. So.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I've got sticky notes. For the record, okay, I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm throwing shade. I'm throwing shade at all the friends and family. Um, I know we've gotten used to clickable links, but we understand what to do when the link isn't clickable, right?
Okay, that's it. We're done. Yeah, that's as far as that needed to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Richard's been like bombing me.
Okay, well, that's Richard's problem and help him later. Like, episode 2, he will be your guest and be like, so did we learn how to use links?
Good segue, because I'm actually gonna text Ronnie right now, not Richard. Ronnie's supposed to be episode 2. Let's see if I can get a message out of Ronnie confirming for episode 2. I just thought that'd be interesting to do on the show, but now it's not seeming as interesting.
Okay.
Wanna confirm for our podcast? All right. Let's see if he I should say what day. On Monday. Segue done.
That was great.
Thank you. I was hoping Jake would also tell me how the quality is by now. But yeah, okay. And then not Daniel. Um, Jessica's boyfriend just texted me. Diego. On purpose, I mean? Yes. He's like, did you call me? I mean, on purpose?
One time I went to work and it was just like a
oh,
Monday.
she goes, ah! You're watching you now. You're on the stream.
Oh, hello, guys.
Hello, Oz.
And me.
I was just telling Giancarlo that the latency with the stream is like really, really late for us.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird.
Yeah, so like
answering your questions like I think like 5 minutes later.
oh, okay. Yeah, I totally expect that. I mean, but how's the quality?
Honestly, we just see your faces like frozen.
Our faces are frozen.
Are they still beautiful?
Really funny.
No, she said they're taking pictures because our faces are funny.
This is great. That's
well,
why I did my makeup and everything, and I put in the earrings so I could look funny. Yeah,
Adri loves that she did her makeup just to look silly. But yeah, so then right now it's really just audio that you can mainly hear.
Yeah.
Dang, I have a lot of stuff to figure out.
Because we're right now in the bachelor stuff, so it's like I don't know what the bachelor is.
They're only now talking about The Bachelor.
I can hear them.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
What'd you say?
The Bachelor is a reality show?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I said in the show, I said we can talk about The Bachelor, and then we didn't. So let me just tell you right now.
Adri's getting into The Bachelor.
The Bachelor is a wonderful show as to what some people think. Some people think it's not so much, but I am biased. And it's a show about a guy, if we're talking about The Bachelor, a guy is chosen to be the Bachelor and he could date like 20 or 25 women. It sounds terrible, but it's great. And then you see their love story on camera potentially. They only know each other for 3 months, so usually like it doesn't work out, and that's too bad. But anyways, then usually from that season they choose a girl that everyone's like, oh my god, I love that girl, she was so cute and I wish they would have ended up together, and she's the bachelorette for the next season. And then she has like 20 to 25 guys to choose from, and then you see all those people and you're like, oh my god, they're crazy, or this is great and I'm so happy for them, and you see their love story. And then the season after that is Bachelor in Paradise, where men and women from all the seasons from before get together and they get on a beach at Playa Escondida, Mexico, and then they get crazy and you're like, oh, this is crazy. And then it starts over every year, and then it's the Bachelor, Bachelorette, and then Bachelor in Paradise. They've switched some stuff up recently, but that's generally what you get. And
So
it's
yeah, is it forever? Does it like does it go to The Bachelor after that, and then Bachelorette, and then Paradise again?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Keeps going.
I think there's like 28 seasons or something.
That's TV, right?
Yeah, it's on TV and on Hulu, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the most recent seasons.
Well, in Mexico, we got a lot of things like that. Not like reality shows, well, even reality shows, but telenovelas
Telenovela.
Claro.
forever. Right.
Adri loves Rebelde.
Yes, I do. Okay, let's talk about that too, okay? Porque yo
Oh,
soy
no.
rebelde. And also, I learned some Spanish from there, so that's cool too. And my roommate who I live with right now, his name is Ricardo. He's Peruano, and he watches Rebelde Way. And I'm like Rebelde Way, like that's trash. Like we watch Rebelde. And he's like, Rebelde Way came out before Rebelde. And I was like, oh, well, it's still trash.
I don't know why, but people in Latin America, all over Latin America, love the Mexican productions. Did you ever see Chavo del Ocho, Chespirito?
No.
Okay, it's like a comedy TV show from the 80s,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
70s, and it's been on in Latin American countries,
Mm-hmm.
and it lasts to today.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's amazing. El Chavo del Ocho has in Mexico like a cartoon show, but
Yeah.
we don't see it like today, you know. And in Latin American countries, it's still going on.
Huh. Yeah, it's just one of those things that's just what's the one with the time traveler?
I mean, I
Doctor
do
Who?
know El Chavo del Ocho. That one I do know. I've seen parts of it, like, because that's famous everywhere and all that. But other than that, not so much.
But it makes it think of like Doctor Who, how it just keeps going forever.
Yeah, Doctor Who, Time Lord. It's a super nerdy thing where like El Chavo like is more of a comedian thing. But yeah.
Sorry, you guys are both speaking. So how many episodes?
I can. It's weird because we can hear Adri. Adri, we can't hear her very well.
Well, yeah, it is on the phone. It's so weird. It's so I'm not ready for it. But yeah, thanks for being on. We're gonna have to get each other in like the podcast now. We're gonna do like a 4 Zoom thing.
That would be awesome because you guys have the both cultures, and it's going to be like great, like talk about the both cultures because you're like, oh my god, I remember one anecdote. How do you say? Like one story, like we traveled to California with Giancarlo, and he was like, "Oh my God, I want you guys to say these hard words in English," and we were like, "Okay,
We know them all.
we know them all," and Giancarlo was like, "Okay, you guys now tell me your weird words in Mexico," and Giancarlo was like, "Oh my God, I can't say that."
I still can't.
Me neither. Like, I'm better than Giancarlo, but I can't.
What's up? And I was like, Giancarlo, please tell me how do you say this word? And Giancarlo was like, what?
You and Alan have texted me randomly like say this word, and I'm like, oh no.
I was in one of them.
Yeah. I was like, kind of funny because it's like you guys told me like, I don't know, mushroom, and I'm like, mushroom? And you're like, mushroom, and you're like, oh yeah, you can, and I'm like, okay, say squinkle.
I don't want to be made fun of. You guys are ruining my podcast.
It's called a you can.
That's pretty cool, you know. It's like both cultures in a podcast is like, well, it's kind of cool, like seeing Mexico seeing your eyes. Then that's interesting.
Yeah. No, I think I know the subject of what our podcast is going to be when the 4 of us are on. We're going to be talking about the differences in the culture. Because, yeah, we visited over there. You visited over here. Has Diego been over here?
With you guys?
No, in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be
But it's kind of like the difference of food, like tacos. Taco Bell for me is like you, and like when you visit us here in Mexico, it's like, oh my God, taco in every corner, and the food is like different. The telenovelas.
I was telling Jesse that when Adri was talking about the taco documentary,
The documentary in Netflix.
yeah.
I have one here from Mexican tacos, and oh my God, it's awesome.
So, yeah.
So actually, speaking about food real quick, if we're going to talk about Mexican food, I do want to say el elote, the corn, and that's something that I shared with Yesi. Oh my God, yes, I miss it so much. Just you get it on a stick, and then you put whatever you want on it, and it comes from a little cart. It is the best.
And it's really even different in different states here in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
In the northern parts, they put sour cream on it. Sorry.
Guadalajara, they eat it with shrimps.
Shrimps. Here in Ciudad de Mexico, we eat it with cheese, mayo, and a little chili.
Yeah, that's how I remember it for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't like it. I like it. I like the American way where it's just got butter.
No.
But that's sweet corn, right?
Either.
Yellow one?
You can do either.
Yellow.
He doesn't care because it's just covered in butter.
It's the butter that I'm eating. It's not the corn. Okay. I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you calling and helping out and watching. No, really, if you guys want to try to be episode 3, we can really do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. We'll try to get something with Adri or just the 3 of us or something. But yeah, we'll keep in contact about it.
All the cousins.
Awesome.
What'd you say, Adri?
I said all the cousins, but that makes
Get all the cousins. Love you guys.
And we talk about our Christmas nights and all that kind of weird stuff in Mexico or celebrations. like the parties in Mexico are different from the
Oh,
United
yeah.
States.
I expect almost all of my family to be on here. I expect you guys to all have your own podcasts, and then all be on here as a group. And yeah, no, I really want to have
a YouTube channel. No, it's not a podcast, but we do have a
YouTube channel. Yeah.
You guys have a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have it. It's like trips and things to do in Mexico.
Exploring adventures
in Mexico.
Oh yeah, so that's why you were saying like, what's my podcast about? Because yours is like about like traveling and adventures.
It's just for
Well, yeah, I'm saying mine's more of like just like talking, kind of catching up, getting to know people. I love it. But well, yeah, so we're gonna totally be like a powerhouse and like combine the two and like I don't know. And maybe you guys can help me streaming because I'm having so much trouble with it right now.
yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna
focus. Some weird English. We're here for you.
We can try.
Thanks, guys. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
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 They're the worst. I'm so glad they'll never hear anything that I'm saying. Oh my God, it's so rude. Just call me and no. That was so cool. That was honestly like it's like shiver. She's getting so old, but yeah, that was so cool to literally have people like on not only my first episode, but even with the technical difficulties, they're like dealing with it and listening. They're helping, they're participating, and then they like get on the call and they like give us ideas and stories, and then they're like, "Can we be on the next episode?" It's like, "Fuck yes!" Like this is
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to know why this sounds ridiculous?
Does this sound ridiculous?
Because somebody has been telling Giancarlo for a while now that he'd be great at being a radio host. But
Daniel said that, and it was a great idea.
For a while, I've been saying that. And then my boyfriend just happens to randomly one night be like, you'd be a really good radio host, which I've been saying for years. And I'm just like, Giancarlo's like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. And I'm like,
whoa. Why has no one ever said this before? This is a great idea.
And now Giancarlo's like, it's just so great that people are calling in and being a part of it and giving ideas and community. And I'm just hosting this thing. And it's like, what do you know?
Yeah, I honestly feel like Jake almost has a little bit of that too. Because he watched me go from my like super depressive, like, oh, nothing's worth nothing. I hate everyone. I'm angry at the world. To like, I'm just gonna put out positive vibes and positive stuff's gonna come my way. And he's just like now sitting there like, oh, all of a sudden, okay. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you. So, and you know what the funny thing is? When Daniel said it, I'll be honest. It did mean something to me. Like I was like, oh, good idea, but it didn't trigger. I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get on the radio, because this radio is not for me. But when I heard Jelaine say, she's like, yeah, I just do a podcast with my friends every now and then. Like I'll just like when we get in a good conversation, I'll just put on the podcast and there we go. I have a good podcast. And I'm like, SOB, I do that all the time. I get complimented on that. I'm like, oh man, I just love interacting with you, and I'm like, oh, thank you. And yeah, so anyway, like I really feel like when Jelaine mentioned that she just does it like that, that's when it triggered. That's when I was like, and then the fact that you said it and the fact that he said it. And then when I went to Daddy's, he was I cut him off and I said, and they all said I'm good at radio. And he was like, I was about to say you should have done radio. And I was like, yeah. So it's like, it just all seems to be adding up. Yeah. No, you bad baby. You bad baby. Come in. Get back there. Get back there.
I thought you were gonna pick her up. I was like, calm down.
Look how gray she is. Look how gray she is. Oh. Oh, your baby. Like, get out of here, you bad dog. Can you see her hips though? Like it kind of like yeah, she's 16? No, she's 15,
Yeah.
I think.
She looks like she has some arthritis.
Yeah, she's a better owner would give her drugs, but I can't afford drugs. So I just give her exercise. That's the best I got. I got her when we were oh, actually this is cool. Freaking Hearst
Yeah.
Elementary. So what's Hearst was Los Banos?
No, Hearst Pleasanton.
Hearst was Pleasanton. Then it goes Windy Hill.
That was Claremont, Florida.
Yeah, Claremont. And before, so it went Pleasanton, Los Banos, Florida.
Sure.
Because
That sounds about right.
there was Our Lady of Fatima.
Yeah, Our Lady of Fatima was Los Banos.
It was Los Banos, and then we moved to Florida. And then the rest of these are all Oakdale High, Oakdale Junior High, Oakdale High, Oakdale High, and then East Stand. I'm a good kid, yay. But the reason I brought these out was it says 2006, so it says she's only 14 technically. I thought she was 15. 2006, so she's 14. My bad. The math can't lie. Let's see. Text Ronnie. Did I get a message back yet? No. Oh, she sent me the photo. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Great.
Yeah, it's there you go. Anyway.
At least I'm living my best life in it.
Yeah, you look really happy, you know. Talk about that. Cool, that sticky note's gone. Electricity, what's this one? Knowing, oh, okay, this one's dumb. But when I was thinking of the electricity thing, you know, that I asked you about, like how you knew when the TV was on, you associate it to noise, right? Do you remember we would always switch back and forth on commercials? And it was always like, well, Adri, what do you think? And you were like the best one at knowing when it would be time to turn it back on.
Yeah, I do remember that. I mean,
Yeah, literally like.
I thought about it, but right now I do remember that.
It was almost like a game we played. Like it's like, yeah, who could guess the right time for it to come back on, you know, at the right time and not miss
The
anything.
show, yeah.
And during commercials. And yeah, it's like Adri got it all the time. And so for me, those two were connected. It's like she's like a TV god. She knows when it's on. She knows when it's on outside. She knows when it's on in front of us. She knows what show is on and when it's on. The commercials are off. It's like
on another channel that we're not even watching.
Yeah. It's like it's just a thing she does. I don't know.
No, that was just guessing.
Telekinesis, maybe like an internet.
Of course.
Whoa.
Also that. Also aliens.
Also aliens. Don't get me started. Actually, right now,
I really don't want to.
Well, speaking of which, not speaking of aliens, but speaking of like not wanting to do that, doing something else. You want to make your podcast?
Yeah.
I know, right? We haven't even done that yet. You're like,
I'm like, what?
yeah. But so this is the idea is because you know it's so hard to explain to people, and it's not that I'm saying it is hard to explain to people, and I'm saying mainly it's my fault. I'm not good at explaining stuff. I wrote it down the best way I found how to explain it. Don't know where I wrote it down at though. Oh, that's booty. Music pulled from YouTube, live streaming, making, and what does that say? Reading a podcast. Recording a podcast. Okay, so essentially, for anyone, I guess this is like a normal thing to say in the beginning, so halfway through is a good thing. This is a live stream. We're doing a live stream of us talking, and the live stream is us making a podcast.
Yeah.
And we're going to record the podcast on the live stream. So that's generally the idea. That way anyone who comes on here, for example, when Jessica comes on here and when Diego gets on here, they already have their own fucking channel. So it's like they can be like, okay, we're going to do a travel thing, you know, that's going to be our theme. Let's just talk about travel the whole time, like during our podcast portion. That way they can almost use that as part of their channel too, you know. Or yeah, just talk about cousins and family and visits and stuff like that. It's really up to you guys. But as far as right now, as it is up to you, what kind of podcast do you think you might want to make?
No clue.
That's fine. I'm expecting this.
Thank God. I was like, you told me that I don't need to have anything.
No, yeah, exactly. I that's the fun part is I want people to see the creative process. I want people to see like us, like, or else literally give up on it. Go, I guess we don't have anything. Let's just keep talking or end it early, you know, anything else? I've literally gone over like worst case scenarios with Jake. Like if I piss off a person like live, like they're here and I piss them off on accident and they just like stop talking, like what I'm gonna do, you know? And my plan is to like, okay, well, I gotta keep cool because it's my stream, you know? So I'm gonna talk even more now and you can either sit there and agree or disagree. All right, we're gonna move on. And then just like let them pout, you know? But my point is that even if you kind of have nothing to say or if you purposely are saying nothing, I can take over. Like that's what I'm here for, you know? So as for like a podcast, I have notes for this, which this isn't how I want to do it now that I think about it, because you know, now I'm sharing my notes. So I'll probably close it. Common ideas, so things that people are interested in, you know. So things like obviously things that are trending, things like the news, things like politics. Did you hear Jake just told me when we got home, I'm gonna butcher her name.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, I heard.
Just heard about that. Yeah. Yeah. That's news. We can make a podcast about that. We can talk about what we know, if that impacted you at all, if you care. If you care, throwing it out there.
I know she is a person in
Ooh,
the Supreme Court.
I'm recording. I'm joking.
Okay, I was like, I thought we've been recording the whole time. Yeah, I know that she's the person in the Supreme Court. I know that she has a documentary. I know that she seems to be like a really great leader and very not necessarily powerful, but like I don't know how to say it exactly. And I have interest in her from what I have heard and what I like. I think I heard like she had cancer more than once. And that kind of stuff. She fell recently. I heard that she did pass away today. And yeah, I want to watch her documentary. I just haven't had the time to.
Mm.
She sounds very. Is formidable good? Or is it always bad? Or just
I'd say technically it sounds more bad. It is a positive thing. It's saying like but normally you think
she's like a powerhouse. I think that's what I want to say.
you normally think formidable opponent, you know, like. But anyway,
Alexa, volume 7. Alexa, what does formidable mean?
I don't hear it.
It means causing fear, apprehension, or dread.
Yeah, so probably not.
It's a powerhouse.
Yeah, she's, how would I say it? She's a force to be reckoned with. You know, she does not um lie down easily. And that's definitely how I heard about her. But yeah, passed away. And obviously I also heard she was almost like literally the only good thing in our government at this point. So it's like, but yeah, don't get me started on politics. It's not that it's like it's a big deal. It's more just like I can talk too much about it, you know. Um your podcast though, my obvious first thought is obviously you being a teacher, wanting to be a teacher and being that you've taught and that you have students and that I linked you on Instagram on this, so maybe they look, you know, I don't know.
What? I cursed on here.
I told you that there's a difference between you were warned. You were warned.
You did not tell me you were gonna link me. I didn't know I was linked on anything.
I thought you were on Instagram. I'm sorry. Thought you knew
I've
how
been working all day.
I did it like 5 minutes before. But don't worry, no one can click the link anyway.
Except you know, my students were like really smart. So, cuz not I mean, yes, they are smart. I'm not saying no, they're not smart.
Are you dumb?
You kind of were saying that earlier. So,
I didn't say
all I'm
dumb. I'm
saying
saying
is like
lazy.
they're the younger generation and they know how to do all this stuff. Like I had this one student, I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is.
Do this for the
And
podcast?
what?
You want to do this for your podcast? Talk about your students?
I mean, if I have any stories, it would be through them because that's really, I feel like the only life that I have. And
Well,
I
it's
feel
a
like
thought.
pure joy.
It doesn't have to be that, and we obviously know episode 1 could not like work out well, but that's my first thought is that I know that they mean the freaking world to you. So yeah, I know that if you were to do anything public, they'd be on your mind. And yeah, I don't know if you want to make it literally all about them or because it's not like, for example, if you do the next time you come on, it's not like it has to be about them again. Like it's like it can be, or you can literally, I want to talk politics this time, or I want to talk about this movie I saw, you know, it's like, or let's just keep doing this. Let's just keep on going back and forth. And this is the podcast, you know, I'm enjoying this, like whatever you're feeling. So yeah.
I know this sounds stupid, but I can't get over the fact that like some of my students might be watching this and I cursed.
When I was go to all right, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about.
It's not a big deal in the scheme of things. I know they curse too and whatever, but I'm just like,
no, more what I'm saying is like 90% chance they're not watching this, because if you were to go to the stream, I'm pretty sure I only saw 2 viewers, and I'm pretty sure I was one of them and Jessica was the other.
and I'm pretty sure also they have many more cool things to do than this.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they didn't watch live. And then when it comes to uploading it later, that's the cool part, is that I'm going to edit it. It's not going to look like this.
I never cursed you guys. Angel.
Too late. I didn't say I was going to bleep it. No.
I might be an angel. I don't know yet.
We're going to figure it. Yeah, it's kind of up to the editors. Dude, Bo Burnham has a joke Bo Burnham has a joke like that where he says like video editors are the dumbest, and then it just cuts. But anyway, so what it's gonna look like on the video is anytime I'm speaking, essentially, it's gonna go to me. Anytime you're speaking, essentially, it's gonna go to you. If we're kind of speaking over each other, or for example, when like I had him on the phone, it'll probably show both of us. And then yeah, I can bleep stuff out, I can cut stuff out, I can choose when it starts, when it ends. It's gonna be on my own video. And then from that video, so that's why we record the whole thing live, and then I pull up then I upload a video using the live stream, and a podcast using the live stream audio. So that's why I like my idea, because I have these 3 avenues at the same time. So yeah, I mean, doesn't have to be about the students. Could be about Cookie got brought up today. Cookie got brought up today. Could be about Cookie. Could be about past pets, current pets. Could be about pets. Do you know anything about pets? Are you familiar with animals?
What's an animal?
What is an animal? You know how
Philosophically.
I mean, humans are animals. You know how certain animals have different vision than us?
Yeah. Can I say a random fact?
Please.
Horses can't throw up.
Just horses. No other.
Rabbits too.
What? Horses and rabbits can't throw up?
Mm-hmm.
Jake,
Do you want me to get someone on the phone? A vet?
I don't mind. That'd be cool.
Hey, Dr. Cooper. We were just talking about this.
Okay. Episode 1, I got 2 people on the phone. That's excited. People just love my podcast. God.
Actually, I was just talking. Well, actually, I'll wait till she's on the phone to say it.
What?
I can't guarantee she's going to answer. She's like 50-50.
Diego literally like, did you call me? I mean, on purpose?
But like, I love her, so. She does tell me that she often just answers the phone because she's afraid that I'm in a ditch, which I've never been in a ditch, so I don't know why that's her concern, but okay.
She's a loving, caring person. She's considerate.
The Google Fi subscriber you have called is
Didn't
not
answer.
available. Please leave a message.
Your girl's
That's
on
okay.
Fi. She cheap, son. She cheap. I'm on Google.
Because she's on the phone with her mom.
Well, there's 2 people here waiting for her, and only 1 person there waiting for her. So I think we outrank or like outclass. I don't know. Both? Your choice. She's totally gonna watch this and get really upset at me. I'm joking. This is just who I am. I joke. I'm sorry. I love you.
So Dr. Cooper was helping me memorize some medications because I have to memorize some medications to like pass this medication clerk thing for working at the vet hospital. And they're like medications that I cannot tell the difference in at all. And they like, one of them was metoclopramide. I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's how it's spelled. And I was just telling her, I was like, the one section of this word that I'm concentrating on is clop, C-L-O-P, which makes me think of like a horse, like clop, 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 clop. And she's like, that's so interesting because metoclopramide is an anti-nausea and horses can't throw up. And I was like, what? So yeah, that started.
You got to make that really cool association because of that.
Yeah, and she's like a major lover of rabbits. So she's like, also, rabbits don't throw up either, making them the superior pet. And I was like, okay.
Also, fact, just so you know.
I feel like Dr. Cooper is super smart. She's amazing. And I told her, I was like, my brother wants me to be on his podcast and he wants me to be his first like person on it, which I think is crazy. But also I'm like, you know what? I feel like you should be his first guest, Dr. Cooper. And she's like, me? And I'm like, you are so much fun. You're so smart. Like, just, yes, you.
I would love to have her.
That would be interesting. She's hilarious and so smart, and I love her.
Yeah, one day you'll have to get her in, and it'll be like like the 3 of us, because I mean, obviously the ideal would be in person, you know, but not only is it a weird time, but also it's just tough to do, and I'm not like famous, so it's not like any reason for you to come down here and do a podcast. But yeah, just doing it on here, doing it on Zoom, like, and I'll edit the video again so it looks clean. I honestly, dude, like, not to like sound too, I feel like sometimes it sounds cliche, but I'd be honored because I'm here I am, just some kid, just like starting a podcast because like, some people find me interesting. Let's see if I can do something with that. And then instantly, yeah, people have like, oh yeah, maybe here, maybe there. And I'm like, if you're willing to give me your time, like, please, I'd be honored. Thank you. So yeah, if she'd be willing to give me her time and like I'd be able to talk to her and just hear about how cool it is, like what the shit she knows, it's like I can't even tell you how cool that is for me. When I was doing life insurance, when I was doing life insurance and I was going door to door, I was a door to door salesman. I was hoping I could do this, like talk, like interview style, and just talk to people about their life and just kind of like their experiences, But obviously, it wasn't the time for that, dude. I could even see on my screen this thing is starting to get jumpy, like the frames per second. Yeah, it is slow, dude. Are you speaking?
Nope.
Okay. Well, can't do much about it. So yeah, like, I'd be about it.
Perfect. I'll let her know.
How's the screen look for you right now? Is it?
It looks fine, but I'm just watching the Zoom. Like, I'm not watching YouTube or anything. It looks totally normal.
Yeah, no, I'm just watching Zoom as well, but yeah, mind you, I'm doing this on Surface Pro, which is technically a tablet, and I'm broadcasting, I'm streaming, and I'm recording all at the same time. So this thing's not meant to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see how this goes. Episode 1, baby. Humble yourself. Just say, it's all right. We'll do better next time. But yeah, we were talking about horses can't throw up. Jake had a horse. I'll ask him. I'll be like, did your horse ever throw up? He's like, what? No. And then I'll be like, yeah, because they can't. I'm like, he's like, what? Yeah, you didn't know that?
Yeah.
Obvious fact. Also rabbits. Second most obvious fact.
Also, watch my podcast.
Also, why are you not watching my podcast right now? I am. Let me just hear that in the back. YouTube streams, special pose, extra zoom cam, reverse. Oh, that's something. Anyway, we'll look at that later. And then open door. Yeah, I gotta look at that. So have you thought of what you want your podcast to be about?
No, because again, I thought there was something. But if I feel like I had anything that I have a say in, not that I don't have a say in anything, but I mean, obviously I'm most passionate about my schoolwork. So I feel like if there was anything for me to talk about, it'd be that. I don't know really what I would want to say because I don't know where this is going, and it's all just kind of coming out of thin air. But
Yeah.
obviously that is a big part of my life. But I am obviously open to anything.
Well, okay. I'm gonna just start off with schoolwork as like a subject, right?
Yeah.
And then so honest question, like what do you mean? Like, are you saying when you were a student, like a younger student, or like kind of like all the time in your life you're always a student, or like the schoolwork you give to your students? Like, in what sense are you talking about schoolwork that you find passionate about?
Oh, like the work that I did at a school. So like when I was employed by a school district, all the work that I did in a school is probably what I'm most passionate about. I always loved school, even though like I was terrible at math, which Giancarlo knows very well. I struggled with it. It was really difficult, but I was typically a really good student. I enjoyed school. Lots of people went for the social aspect. I did too, obviously, but I really enjoyed learning. I really enjoyed being in the classroom. And I liked getting good grades. yeah, I was a good student and everything. But it's a whole other level, a whole other world, like being in the classroom and actually not running your own class. I've only had the opportunity to do that once, and it happened by accident, and that was scary and fun, but amazing. And but I just loved being there with the kids. I loved being able to do whatever I can for and with them, like being that confidant or being that trusted adult through some kids who went through like terrible times, and the ones that needed a little more help in math or just like really like just anything, and having to solve problems between them and having them like figure out different ways to do certain things, and I loved it. It was definitely the most gratifying experience, the most humbling experience, like where I felt most alive and where I really knew that that's where I was supposed to be always.
That was almost a podcast there. Just saying. Like you were like,
A+.
yeah, it's like podcasts don't have to be long. Uh and they don't have to be crazy. It could just literally be like, hey, I want to get this idea out there that for some reason resonates with me. Right now, the ideas that I've heard that I feel flow pretty well are obviously the core being school work, so that's kind of like what we work towards. And then we'll start at employed. So it's like you can start as like where you started feeling like schoolwork really was impactful for you, where you started to feel, as you said, well, actually, you didn't use this word, I put this word, fulfilled, you know? Um, so you can start off like when you actually started working at a school, or which school, or specific students, like when that moment you were like, oh, I'm in it, I'm in the thick of it. Like this is here, this is now.
Yeah.
Uh, from there, that I think that puts the viewer, the listener, related. They're like, oh, okay, because every now and then we'll kind of wake up and realize like, oh, this is happening. So yeah, let's wake up, let's realize like you're employed, you're teaching kids, like let's set the scene, and then from the scene being set, we'll talk about helping the kids, some specific experiences that you've had, ABC. So you can, right now, if you're agreeing with me, we could contemplate a couple ABCs. So like times when you helped kids that it went really well, that you were like, that you felt that either you reached them or maybe they reached you. um there was a connection, something special. Is there,
hmm
are there two or three, even one thing that come to mind?
I mean, there have been a ton, really. Hmm. There have been a ton, really. Definitely one of my first ones that I remember, it was a female student that I had who,
um we're still making the outline.
okay,
So it's not that I don't want to hear you. It's just I don't want you to go too far into detail. I want you to hold that story. So it's like for number one, do you want me to put female student and like a specific thing that happened?
no,
Female student only?
sure.
What about another thing that happened?
I mean, like, I feel like if you just ask me certain questions and I can just like answer them.
Well, okay, so you want to do it that way. Okay, let me see. We can do it more live, because that's also the other thing, is that like certain people are going to want their podcast to be more edited, uh and I felt like since this was kind of like about students, you might want it to be a little bit more thought out, like have an outline and then do the outline, you know? Um,
Yeah, definitely when you started doing the outline, it made me think of like writing an essay, for sure. Like when you lay it all out. And I was just like,
that's what podcasting is. You're saying an essay.
mhm.
And that's what I'm making you do, is that I'm going to come up with this outline, and then you and I are going to talk about it. And anytime you tell me something, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to, my job is to keep you on track. Your job is to talk about it. Your job is to go like, oh, and I remember this one time this person really helped me out. And I go, yeah. You were mentioning something about a female student earlier. And you go, oh, don't get me started on the female student. Like, I'm going to keep you on track, and you just talk about what you like.
Yeah, however you want.
Okay, so is there a second um, time helping kids that you really remember, like stuck out to,
Uh,
that might
there
even,
was one student who really struggled in math.
uh-huh, and then, so I could just put struggled in math.
Yeah.
Stupid pencils stuck. Ah, jeez Louise. Do you want a third or move on?
I think that's good.
Okay. So technically at the beginning of your podcast, you're going to start with telling me that, like, where you got employed and such. And then from there, you're going to tell me a story of the student and maybe this kid in the math class. And then hopefully that correlates into how schoolwork for you has been uh, like an overall positive part in your life. You felt like you've been able to reach people, right? Do you have anything to say about that? Do you want me to take notes down about um, your schoolwork and like what it meant to you?
Mm,
I think, for example, just if it helps, like if I was to say, if I was to be talking to someone who was in the military, and they were to say, yeah, being in the military was a big deal, then hearing probably like, yeah, giving me a good work ethic, teaching me that I can do this if I set my mind to it, being in a group. So just some core values about being in the military. So do you have any core values about schoolwork that come to mind that reach you, connect to you?
I think just like humanity, um, and just that like, I don't know, we're all in this together, I guess.
So schoolwork taught you humanity.
I don't know if it taught me that, but that's definitely something like a lot of what I've done, I've based off of.
A lot of what you've done, you based off of. Like, so you feel like you're able to interact with humanity more because, like, better because your schoolwork has almost taught you how. Like, in the sense of,
No, again, it's not that that taught me that at all. It's that I base a lot of what I've done in like when I've worked at the school out of humanity. Like you have to understand how to like deal with people and be compassionate and all this stuff by that kind of stuff. That's what I've based a lot of it off of. Not like because there are some teachers, who are very much authoritative or authoritarian and like it's their way or the highway, but like I've never looked at it that way. Like it's a community, we're all in it together, like people are all different and we just got to work together.
okay, I like that. And then, see, schoolwork. And it said, I have a note saying you felt the most fulfilled there. So do you have something, maybe an example as to a time or a place where you were trying something that didn't make you feel fulfilled, where you did feel that here at the schoolwork?
Mm, working at TJ Maxx sucked.
TJ Maxx. And that's not a bad example, you can mention like it's like my experience there, really made me appreciate this. All right, done. Now, for the record, we can literally be done right now, and I can try to clip it together, but it probably wouldn't sound as good. Or, yeah, I can try to walk you through these right now, and we start your podcast, which,
Okay.
to be honest, just goes exactly to schedule. Like, started 2 hours ago, talk for an hour or an hour and a half, make your podcast, do the podcast, and then an outro. So, do you want to take a break? Do you want to take a sip of water? Do you want to walk away from? Do you need a bathroom break? I just feel like, okay, I feel like I might have like tired you out there.
Oh no, I mean, no, it's fine.
Okay, all right. I want to work with you. You know, you've worked with me. So if I was to be starting your podcast right now, which sadly I can't because that's one of the parts I haven't figured out yet, but you know, we'll get there. I would be pulling out my phone, most likely my phone or some other device, and go, all right, we're live. And I'm going to click it. But that's not what's going to happen. I'm going to just say we're live, and I'm going to pick the audio from the video, and later on clip it, and then like hopefully I can find a podcast to syndicate to. Anyway, so you ready? Okay, so on Adri's first podcast with Adri, well, let's see, how would it start? So I'm joining your podcast on Adriana's podcast. So yeah, I'm gonna say, I heard that you worked at a school.
Did you know?
Did you? To be honest, I'm not even kidding. How many schools have you worked at?
2?
Only 2? I've worked at one. I worked at one, but that's it. You never did you ever do the college stuff?
No.
Never. Okay. Um, I'm sorry. So yeah, so when going to school, did you I'm trying to lead you into the employed part to where you can take over. How do you want me to do that?
I don't know. Honestly, like this whole podcast thing is very confusing to me. I feel like just the natural conversation earlier just worked really well.
I don't disagree. I've already mentioned that we can just continue doing that. I'm just trying to show you the layout. I'm trying to show you like the idea of how you're going to get on here, and cuz it's not just you, you know. It's like, or maybe it's not school that you want to talk about. But if you want, we can trash it.
I mean, so you're asking me how you're going to get me to talk about school?
I've already gotten you to talk. Yeah. So the last question I asked you was, well, I said, how many places have you been employed at? And you said 2. You didn't give me anything else after that. So I was hoping you would talk more about you being employed in school and enjoying that because you like schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like the first part of the bullet.
Okay. Yes, I've worked at 2 schools. I have done middle school primarily, which I have discovered is my favorite, and elementary, which the kids are adorable, but they need a lot more attention.
Middle school.
Not necessarily attention. I don't have an issue with giving attention, but when a kid cries about how they didn't get the chance to help clean up and the other kids did, I'm like, well, lucky you. And yeah, those teachers have a lot of patience and they're wonderful. And I feel like in middle school they're using their brains more, like they're thinking of a little more advanced concepts, and I find that more interesting to be there with them.
Yeah, the light's starting to turn on. It's starting to get fun. Where at the other age, it's just kind of like, it's what I was gonna say. It's really a different type of patience. You know, it's like because they're both patients. One is like, come on, you're almost there. You're so close. Like, you just want to get them over the hill, you know, just over that,
Yeah.
and then go, baby, go. Where the other one is starting the hill. Like, okay, this is how we're gonna begin. So yeah, it is a different type of patience for sure. Um, Working with my little experience working with students was I told you I like the quiet game. No, that was my main thing, was teaching them.
Yeah.
But the moment, but like you're saying, like with the intelligence, kids too young don't understand the quiet game. I'll say, let's play the quiet game. They go, okay, let's play the quiet game. Are we winning? And it's like, okay, you literally can't comprehend it, you know?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
other kids like are already past it. They're like, I lose. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking this way now. Bye. So it's like, yeah, there's probably a fun spot.
Yeah, for sure.
In that fun spot, what do you think is like fun about it? Like, do you think, yeah, what do you think's fun about it?
I mean, I think if you're talking specifically about the quiet game, the fun spot's probably like third grade.
Mm.
Because I did work with some third graders and they were amazing. I loved them so much. Still, the material was still a little repetitive for me. Like you have to constantly be like, well, remember. But the kids are amazing and like they're amazing. It's just the content was kind of boring. But the fun spot for me particularly, I really like sixth grade. Seventh grade is terrifying.
Oh,
Uh,
God, so just sixth to seventh is like a big difference.
yeah, like I'm like afraid that one of my students is watching this. But
Well,
like seventh grade, all the teachers are like seventh grade, they're terrifying. Like just they change. They change so much. Like sixth grade, they're like these little innocent, like, oh, I'm in middle school. And then seventh grade, they're like, we DGAF about anything.
right.
And yeah. And then you're just like, I love you from afar. And
Yeah.
and eighth grade, they pretty much chill out and they're like, meh, like we're top dogs. And they're super chill. So seventh grade's terrifying and that's hard to deal with. So I still love them.
The,
But sixth grade and eighth grade are probably best.
the craziest part is I totally have to agree. Like, my freshman year, or yeah, like if I was thinking of all my years in school, um, yeah, I think when I was in seventh grade, there's seventh grade. I don't know though. Also, like, what year was that? I think sophomore year. I think sophomore year in high school, and I know we're not talking that, but I'm just saying that like that was a year where like the curiosity really peaked.
Mm-hmm.
Where like seventh grade, actually, yeah, we were a lot more vicious.
Seventh graders are
it
terrifying.
wasn't it wasn't the curiosity, it was vicious. We were,
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
I know. And it
yeah.
sucks because like my little sixth graders that I love so much, I'm like, oh, they're my favorites. And we spent the last year together. It's so great. And
Next
then
year,
like you see them in seventh grade the next year and you're like, what happened?
like, yeah, get out of here. Keeping them away with a cattle prod, like dang animals.
Still love them, but I'm just like in my mind, like, you're going through things and it's okay. And we will meet again in eighth grade.
One more year, just one more year. Um, do you feel, where do you feel like, so you said you like helping kids, you said you like helping, and I've always known that about you, you're a helper. That's actually, I have a theory about that, about since you're my older sister, I forced you to become a helper. But well, actually our parents did. They were like, do this. But anyway, being a helper, at what ages, no, not at what ages do you feel like you can help the most, but I guess obviously I want to know where you feel like you're at your sweet spot, where you're able to help them and they're able to work with you. But I also am curious to know about your breaking points, where, I mean, I know you said like, seventh graders, but I'm kind of wondering, do you feel like this sounds like I'm setting you up, so just help me word my question, but do you feel like it's harder to help seventh graders?
Yeah. Because so I feel like a lots of parents, they're like, when they go sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, they're like, that's when the kids like have turned away from us. That's when they're rebellious and blah blah blah. And I in the school area, like we can see that too, but not so much because when they're turning away from their family and stuff and their parents, it's when they're turning to their friends and they're seeing their friends at school. So it's like we see that more happier kid and we see like the more, like friendly stuff, not the stuff that's going on at home. And of course, there are some kids who have lots of issues at home and you see that come out in the classroom too,
Yeah.
of course. But I feel like I said, like sixth graders, they're still in that sweet spot a little bit. And then when they get to seventh grade, they're really turning everyone away at that point because then they're just against authority too. And they're just like, well, who are you? And they've kind of figured some stuff out. And it just becomes really difficult until they're really like figuring out their individuality and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's just really tough. It's
I was gonna
super tough.
I was gonna say, yeah, it sounds like at the younger ages, obviously, um, you definitely self-identify more with your parents. That's who you're around and who protects you and who helps you when anything goes wrong or anything like that. Who you learn from. So obviously, who you learn from is how you identify. But yeah, as you get older, you start to identify more with your friends, more with the
Yeah.
people around you who are also going to give you advice. But advice normally has a connotation of being positive. They're just going to say stuff that you'll take as advice, and then all of a sudden you're turning your back on your parents. And like you said, like the teachers, they still see the positive side because it's not a negative thing. They're just now switching who they identify with. They're just moving
And
to.
I just feel so lucky that I've been in the position to be there for those kids because I just love it. I love it. And I was gonna say something else. Oh, I in my WGU because I am taking classes online to be like my own full-time teacher, whatever. And in WGU, one of the sentences I read, I don't remember, but they basically talk about, students turn away from their family and their parents and they, go and create closer bonds with their age mates. And I remember reading age mates and I'm like, not peer group? Like what? Who says age mates? And then me and my best friend made that like a big thing about it and I sent her a picture of it and I'm like, you want to hang out with your age mates? So yeah, that's a thing.
What's up, age mates?
Yeah.
It almost sounds rude, like your age mate.
I feel like it's just very like English. And I'm like, this came out of nowhere.
Age mate. It's like it's almost like, yeah, if you were bilingual and you just didn't have the words and you're like, he's around his age mates.
Yeah.
um well, yeah, you said you really like to be able to be there for the kids, and so you mentioned you had a couple like examples, starting with like the female student.
Yeah, when I first started at the middle school that I worked at, I had this one female student who was very sweet. I actually started off in a kind of like remedial class. It was special education, but we also had a lot of behavior kids, so lots of kids with behavior issues. And it got a little crazy in there sometimes with like big temper tantrums and everything and throwing of chairs and all that.
Yeah, what school didn't?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, but and you have to keep calm and keep all the other kids cool or whatever, but it was just a mix of like these kids and they were eighth graders and they were all so great and I loved them all. But I actually started at the very end of the school year, like I think only got 3 months with them. And I luckily got very close to many of them very quickly. which I feel very lucky about. And that kind of let me know very quickly that I was doing the right thing. Because, you know, like even if you have a sub or, you know, someone new coming in, especially like middle of the year, it's like, who is this person? Like we've been together all this time or whatever. And they all ended up turning to me mostly. And I felt really lucky about that. Um, and I had this one student who was a female, and she was so sweet. She left me flowers on my desk every morning. Yeah, just amazing. And she like would write me notes about what was happening in her life, and like this boy bought her a necklace and all these things, and just super cute. Like she doesn't have to tell me this stuff, but like I felt really nice about that, and she was just adorable. And she had a lot of trouble um being able to add fractions with unlike denominators. And as you would know, I don't think I struggled with it a ton, but I did struggle with it definitely as a kid, because I always struggled with math, like terrible, hated math my whole life. It was the worst. And I just wish I could understand it. And this girl, like I knew how to do it, and everyone else was passing the test to do it, but she was the only one that couldn't. And there was one day where like all the students would come up to me to ask me for help on certain assignments. And one day I was like, literally, there is a teacher in this classroom. You guys need to speak to the other adult in the classroom. I'm spending the day with her. Like we are working one-on-one together. And it was like right before lunch, and I showed her like throughout the day. I was like, you know, we've been teaching you this way because this is the way we teach it, but I'm going to teach you the way I learned how to do it as a kid. And like, not because this is the old school way, but this is just the way that worked for me, and it's chunking. And I was like, you're going to have to do a lot more math. It's going to take a lot more time, but it's a lot of smaller numbers that we can comprehend easily. And she did it, and we practiced and we practiced, and she was getting better and better. And then it was right before lunch, and I was like, you know, I think you're ready for the test, but you know, I'm not going to make you miss your lunch. So we'll just wait for you to come back. And she's like, no, I want to do it now. And I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And I mean, she's taken the test time and time before, but she just never understood the concept.
Yeah.
And she passed it. And I legit kind of started crying. Like I was just so happy. And she was kind of like, she was proud of herself, but it wasn't that big of a deal. She's like, frick, I finally passed the test. Yay. You know, but here I am like crying almost. And I was just like, I'm so proud of you. Like, this is all that it had to be. And like, it just made me realize, you know, in that moment, like, no one took the time to really sit down with her, and no one took the time to understand that she thinks differently and she needs to do things differently. And that's not okay for her. That's not fair. So it just meant the world to me, and I love her, and I always will. I still have some of her notes, and yeah, just pretty much.
I really love that story, and I feel bad because my brain's gonna lose some of it, so you can remind me. But yeah, I'll never forget. There was one guy. No, I don't remember. No, anyway, I'll never forget. There was one guy. When I was really young, I don't remember the time it happened. Like, cause it was like we were actually. I think it was Hearst. I think it was Hearst Elementary School, and you know how when you're younger, just parents will come in and like they'll just like watch you and stuff. Like as long as there's an adult watching the kids. Um, yeah, there was one day where like a bunch of parents were coming in and they're just looking at the kids like, oh look, they paint with their fingers. Oh cool. Um, and yeah, we're like, I don't know, it's just one of these like event days, right? And they have us. I was doing math on like a piece of paper, which obviously like everyone else was, and this old guy who I remember like thinking everyone was like an adult and he was like a grandpa. You know, I was like, you're older. He just leans over my shoulder real quick. He sees that I'm struggling with like we can say like 8 - 5. And I'm like, because like subtracting was really hard for me at first. When I like adding, easy as hell. Subtracting, And then he told me he just goes down. He's like, well, what would you need to add to 3 to get to that 8? And I was like, 5, duh. And he's like, there you go. I was like, or I probably said it wrong. I don't remember the actual equation, but yeah, like he taught me how to like turn it into addition.
Reverse it. Yeah.
And that point, everything blew up in my head. I was like, whoa, I can do math now. And as I remember like the epiphany coming, like just like it all hitting, he's walking out the door. And so I'll never forget that, because I'll never forget like this guy just like blew my mind, changed how I do math forever, and then just walked away. And I was like, thank you. But yeah, it's I love the schoolwork concept and helping kids because it's like sometimes they'll literally never forget that moment,
Yeah. I have another stupid thing to add to there, which kind of doesn't really relate, but I just like this story. This last year that I worked at the school district, I had this student who I absolutely love. He was so funny. He was so ridiculous. Anyways, he was a 6th grader. And I remember they were writing, not necessarily a paper, but I think like answers to questions from like their history textbook. And they were putting in a quote and they were asking about like quotes and quotation marks and all that stuff. And I was like looking at what they wanted and I was like, here's a special trick, which they don't have to know this, but for some reason I told them, like, I don't know, he had a little special place in my heart. Like, just so you know. And I was like, you can put in ellipses and that means you can get rid of like some section of there as long as you continue it on, and like gave him some examples. And he turned in a paper like later on and it had an ellipses. And I was like, what is a 6th grader doing with this? I was like, I didn't think he'd actually like use it or remember. It's just like, here's a random fact. And then he did it. And I was just like, and I'm super dramatic with my students, but that's really what gets me close to them, which I love, because anything, like if anything happens, like I'm just like, oh my God. And they just kind of look at me and kind of like laugh and, like they know it's a safe place and that I care and all that. But when he did that, I was like, you remember it? And he's like embarrassed. He's like, yes.
It's funny because like when you're older, you tell people to do stuff and you have to tell them 100 times before they do something, But when they're younger, they're literally trying to learn. They're literally trying to figure it out. And so when you tell them and then they do it and you go, did you just listen to me? And they're like, was I not supposed to? Like, oh man, I'm sorry.
I love him.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Trying to think of what you're saying just now. Because stoner brain. With him and then I thought you were gonna say that he turned in a paper that was just full of them. Like, and you're like, hey, that you don't want to be a one-trick pony either.
One of your little favorite stories of mine from teaching was I was doing a reading group with some 3rd graders, and there was some italics and in the book, and they're just reading it, and if they struggle with a word, I help them out, and they're just reading it and they just read the italics like normal, and I'm like, do you know what this means? Like, do you see how it's different than all the other ones and all that? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what's it mean? They're like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, do you see how it's kind of like slanted? And they're like, yeah. I was like, that means like you have to put like some emphasis on it. Like you have to give it like some spice or make it something special. Like it's not just like any other word. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah. So like, I don't remember what the sentence was, but I was like reading it and I was like, so you don't just say she went to the park. It's like she went to the park because, like the italics, you like do this. We're like, oh, and then later in the book, this one kid, he was reading and whatever the sentence was, but he was like, she went to the park, and he legit slanted. And I was like, yes, yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And I just always remember that now. Anytime I see anything italics, like I'm just like,
You just
yeah. He did the emphasis and he moved, and I'm like, that's
Just read
exactly
it.
right.
It's kind of like when they do like counting from 1 to 10, and then now can you do it backwards? And they like turn around. Um, Man, I feel like I always have so much I want to say about that. But I feel like that's what I like about my podcast is like I feel like there's always so much I want to say, but then like it's hard for me to pick what to say. But since I have like a podcast where I'll be able to say a lot, it's like, yeah, don't have to worry about it. It's all gonna come out eventually. Um, let's see. Well, I did want to backtrack. I wrote down a note when you said all the kids went to you. Um, I mainly wanted, I don't know why I put that. They went to you, thought you'd be, oh, I think I was like wondering, oh, okay. I know what I was thinking. It had to do with the us moving. It had to do with the us getting to know people because you mentioned that when you were kind of worried that the kids weren't gonna adjust to you, like when you
Kind of,
first,
yeah, at the very beginning when I started, yeah.
was that your, that wasn't your first job, right? Like teaching.
Yeah.
It was. So do you think it was more just you were nervous?
Yeah, I was nervous for sure.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's easy to say like, oh, I was worried that the kids wouldn't like me, but it's like, I feel like it's more like you're just nervous and then you're worried that the kids might pick up on it, you know? And then it,
Yeah. I also didn't have a lot of training going into it, so that made it really difficult. I didn't know what I was doing. And but like it seemed like they weren't aware of that, and I just remember being like thinking they don't know me. They have no reason in their mind to trust me. Like I'm just some other random adult that's going to tell them what to do and thinks that I have some like right over them or whatever. And like I said, a lot of these kids were behavior kids who mainly, from what I was told by the people that I worked with, were just kicked out of regular classrooms because regular teachers couldn't handle them. And so it was kind of an uncomfortable situation. And they're eighth graders. And I remember someone telling me that like I was as tall as the eighth graders. So like I was just as big as them, or some were bigger than me. And I'm like, this is great. I'm only terrified. But I mean, it worked out really well.
sorry, this is totally random. Mike Tyson was only like 21 when he was getting all his records and stuff. So yeah, when you're a kid, sometimes you could just be doing crazy stuff, you know. It's even
There
so.
was Yeah, no, there was one kid at the school who I saw walking around all the time. He wasn't one of my students, but I legit thought he was a teacher. Like he was taller than me. He like went through puberty, everything. And I was just like, I want to know that teacher one day. What does he teach? And then I found out he was a student and I was like, what do you mean?
What do you teach? What do you mean?
He looks more of an adult than I do.
Yeah, that was Taylor. You remember Gonzalez? Taylor growing up, like we were in eighth grade, seventh grade, one of those. Um, and yeah, he was just a grown man. He can go to
Yeah,
bars and get alcohol.
yeah,
Like, uh,
yeah,
today I still look younger than him when he was like in seventh grade.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's insane. Um, but also my friend Ronnie, who did not text me back, talking about having him as episode 2. Ronnie's also like just a bigger guy in general, just taller and just kind of not built, but just muscular, just a bigger guy. Um, always been. And yeah, I talked to him about how you just get different walks of life. Like you can have the exact same personality, but since you are seen as an adult and you're not, it's like it's not that people don't respect you, but they just think they need to respect the adult. And so like this guy's like growing up like, why is everyone so nice to me? Like, because you're a monster, dude. um well, yeah, so you had that one student, the female student, and then the second one was a struggling in math one. You had a story about that?
Yeah, it kind of goes off as the same thing, which is I knew I wanted to be a teacher for a long time. I kind of wanted to be one as a kid, but then, other things get into your mind. But when I really took the time to think about what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I was like, well, how can I be a student for the rest of my life? Because I love being a student. Like, I love going to school. And I was like, well, wait, what if I just flip it around and I'm the teacher? And it just obvious, like, why haven't I done this already?
Really?
And yeah, and but I didn't know what I wanted to teach. I thought it was high school originally. That's where I was starting. I was thinking about doing high school. Oh, it looked like you were gonna say something. Okay, so it was originally gonna be high school, and I just tried to get into any school district anyway, and that's how I got in with that first job that I got. And I found out that I really wanted to do math middle school because I got into middle school and I loved those kids so much and I loved what they were learning. But I had one student who struggled with math a lot. He actually, I didn't even know originally that he struggled with math. He only really spoke Spanish. And so I was just there to translate for him. And then I realized I was translating and he would like just glaze over and just shut down and then start crying in the middle of class. And I was just like so heartbroken about it. And, you know, I don't want to embarrass him, so I don't want him crying in class. So I would take him out into the hallway and we'd have a communication, or I would try to communicate with him. And he was, you know, completely shut down. And I was like, just let me know where you're at. Like, let me know what's going on so I can work with you. Like, what are you feeling? What's happening? And he just wasn't letting me in. I'm like, if it's the fact that math's too hard and all this stuff, and he kind of like let on that it was. And I was like, here's the thing, like, I sucked at math all my life. And he's like, you're just saying that. And I'm like, no, legit, like, terrible. Like, we can call my mom right now. And we did. We were in the hallway. So I called mommy, and she spoke Spanish. So that worked out perfectly. And I was like, hey, Ma, I have a student here, and he's amazing and all this stuff, but he's having a tough time right now with math. And I just wanted you to tell him just exactly how difficult it was for me, like when I was in school. And she's like, oh my God. And she's like, let me tell you. And she's like, she cried and cried and cried all the time.
You couldn't
And this
wait.
and that. And we, yeah, she legit, and she was on speaker, you know. And so here he is crying, like he was hiding himself in his jacket and he's crying. And he's like, really? And then she's like, yeah, she was the worst. And just going on. And I'm like, I'm telling you, like, I understand what you're feeling right now. Like, if that's the mental block you're at, like, I've been there and she's seen it. And I'm like, and it's not only middle school. I was like, honestly, through college, like, I cried all through my math classes. I failed to class 3 times in college and had to pay for it every time. And it was terrible. Like, math is hard for me. It's always been, it always will be. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. And I was like, it just means we have to do it different. And that was the point where I realized I wanted to do middle school math, because it meant so much to me when I helped my other student, that 8th grader. And it meant so much to me when I helped the 6th grader. And the concepts that I helped him with too, I spent more one-on-one time with him. And I was like, you're going to do more math. It's going to take more time, but we're just going to chunk it. We're going to make smaller things for our brains to understand, like compartmentalize it. And it worked, and he got excited about math. And I get excited about math once I'm able to understand it, because it's like it's a feat, you know. You finally got somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was just so exciting to see how excited he was. And in between lessons, like when the teacher was transitioning from one part to another, we would secretly, like, he would ask me for like just on the fly math problems, and I would just create a on the fly math problem and hand it over, and then he'd work it out, and then I check it and it would be right. And it was just awesome, and I loved that. So I realized that I'm much better at being a math teacher than anything else, because I know the struggle and I understand, like, I recognize it pretty quickly. And so I feel like I can provide that relief so quickly. And I don't want to sound like I'm amazing, but I'm the person that I needed when I was a kid, that I never had. And that's why, like, it's that's why like I got to tears that one time, and that's why it makes me so happy like when they're able to succeed. And I understand that it has to be explained in a different way than just from the book. I understand it has to be fun. I understand that it has to be interactive. I understand so many more things now because that's what I needed, and I love that, and I'm excited to do that for those kids that need it.
Yeah, you did it the hard way, and so that they don't have to, essentially. You
Yeah,
know.
I remember telling my dad when our dad, like just saying my dad, just mine, not
That
yours.
sounds like my cousin. You don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
But I remember telling him when I was a kid, because he obviously saw how much I struggled as well. And I had told him, I think even crying, like, I just wish that I could find another way to do math. Like, I wish I could invent, that's what I said. I wish I could invent a new way to do math. Like, I remember sometimes just sitting there staring at my book or my homework and like trying to think of another way around it. Like, there has to be another way, because this way beats me. Like, this isn't working. So there has to be another way. And I remember he told me, he was like, it's been around for like millions of years. Like, it hasn't happened. Like, it's not gonna happen. And it was just so defeating. And it's like, I'm never gonna understand math. And it's always gonna be hard. But now they have Common Core math. And I know that Common Core frustrates lots of people. And I think certain aspects of it are a little frustrating, but they have this thing called long 7 division. I hate division to this day. I still don't understand long division, and I'm 30. But the long 7 division, life changing. Whoever's watching, look it up. I love it. And like that was one of the things I also showed that one last student, the long 7 division. He's all about it. I have shared that with my girlfriends. Like, I'm like, look at this. Like, just, I'm so glad that there are different ways.
for the record, this is exactly what I wanted to get to. This is exactly what I wanted. We got to a specific area in a niche area that not only helped you, but also others. That if anyone who's listening, yeah, I struggle with math all the time. I'm like, I don't know anything about this like 7. And now it's gonna be this. That's exactly what I wanted to get to. I'm very happy. I wanted to just glance over it, but I feel accomplished. I feel like we did it.
Yay!
So anyway, the I wrote a couple notes, and the first note I started off with was like the glaze over, and the mental block. You know, um, man, if we don't all experience that, and if it is not so painful, man,
Yeah.
even today, I'm almost getting teary-eyed thinking about it, just like, dude, just this podcast, weeks of stuff of trying to figure it out how to do right, and then I don't do it right, and then Richard sends me a thing in like 2 minutes, and I'm like, I know you're right, but it doesn't mean that it didn't take a mental toll.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it defeats you. And as a kid, where you're just trying to grasp for stuff, and you're not getting anything, and you don't know why, like, it's like, whoo, yeah. And we've been through that, and especially with you when it comes to math. That was me with reading. I had and currently barely have any grasp on reading. I'm terrible at it. You remember Hooked on Phonics?
Yeah. I loved your Hooked on Phonics books. And you're like
Fine still.
younger than me. And like I was so excited for like your packs to come, because then I got more books to read.
Oh, they were fucking hell to me, man.
I
Like,
loved them.
I could not. I have like near traumatizing memories related.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like you know how like when you see a scary movie and then the title just has that like, oh, don't even say the title, It's like that. It's like you just say Hooked on Phonics and you're like, oh, just I'm not hooked.
Oh, and here I am like Hooked on Phonics. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, my bad. Were you? Yeah, I remember. I talk about your tutor that would come to Los Banos, and he would literally give me college math, and he was like showing mommy like, "What is this? What? I have college kids who can't do this. And I'm like, I don't know, I love it. Like, it's fun. So yeah, it's like, it's funny,
And I
literally.
couldn't even do my grade.
Yeah, exactly. He was there for you. You were 3 years above me, and he was giving me work that was 3 years above you. Like, it's like, it was, it's just funny how, yeah, we were opposites like that. We were really good in that one area, you know? Um,
So obviously, like, I had expected to teach like English or something, or some. Actually, my dream originally, what started it all off, is I wanted to do a literature class in high school. Like I said, I wanted to start in high school. I loved reading, and I took a junior American literature class and a mythology class in high school, and those were amazing. I loved them because it was just reading stories or reading books and then talking about it together as a class, like what the concepts were about. And I'm like, that's awesome because it's just a community. I loved that. So, and sometimes you wrote papers on it or whatever, but that's where I wanted to be, um, until I got to the middle school math. And I was like, yes, that's cool, but this is where it is. Like, this is where it is for me. This is where I'm going to be able to make the difference. And, um, help these kids. And I think the content is interesting, and I love seeing their brains work and all that stuff, because it's not just 2 + 2, anything like that. But then my immediate reaction was like, oh, well, if I go to middle school, it'll just be like an English class. But then the more and more that I was in English classes, like, it was kind of boring. Like, even though I'm really good at English, I'm really good at writing papers, I've always been good at all that stuff, just the math seemed so much better, and just I saw so much more opportunity.
um, it is surprising to me, obviously no offense, but because you understand, but like, yeah, that math ended up becoming your area, you
Yeah,
know? But
no one gets it.
obviously now makes complete sense. It's like, yes, you get someone who has struggled in it. That way, when they see the struggle, they identify it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, at the same time, it's just not the first thing that comes to mind, I remember this is just my story for me. Um, when we were younger, and there was the difference between math and, I'll say, reading, or what would you say for you and I was good at math, you were good at
You say like reading and writing together.
reading and writing. Um, and we obviously knew that. We knew that about each other. But I remember I always like had logic behind me saying, like, I got the better deal. Like, I was like, math is the cooler one.
I really agree. Yeah.
Reading and writing is like super dated. Like, it's like you learn like a certain type of like reading and writing, and then that gets outdated. You learn a certain type of math, there you go. you know and honestly, here was the last thing. I remember thinking to myself, this was how it finished in my mind. This is how I'm not saying it makes total sense, but I was like, can you do math with letters? Nope. Can you make letters with math? Yep. like binary, like 0 1 1 0. So I was like, yeah, I think numbers win, baby. Well, yeah, that was my logic as a kid, just my, making myself feel better.
Yeah.
And then on the fly math, I wrote that down. On the fly math. Oh yeah, because I used to.
What?
I think I remember, but what are you gonna say?
I think that was where I made math problems on the fly for the one kid. So what's
Yeah,
your question?
I used to do that alone in my room. I used to like just try to come up with random numbers, like, okay, 1 5 7 and then I would like, okay, what symbol is it, plus, okay, random numbers, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now do the math. And yeah, I would love it. It was fun.
I had no idea. And you know what? Like, of course, this kid doesn't know, but he'd be like, write me a problem. And here I am, heart like, I have to make a problem? Like, I get paid for this. Like, I'm here to translate.
You don't realize how hard that is. Like,
Yes. Like,
novel-
I'm like, the thing I come up with has to come out like to a real answer. Like, it can't just be like a super fraction pi, whatever. The limit is, what is it? The limit is undefined or whatever. I don't even remember. Mean Girls reference. Anyways, the limit does not exist. Anyways, I just, that kid, he would just be like, give me another, and here I am like trying to do the math. I'm like, here. So,
Yeah,
but then one of his friends right next to him, he caught on, and so they would do the same problem together. Then I ended up giving them problems at the same time, and they would compete, and so it was really cool. But it was funny because I was backward working the problem, like, and making, we mainly, like, we did some no, I didn't do Pythagorean theorem with them, but I did do a lot of the order of operations. So I was like, oh, they'd have to do this first. So it'd be the parentheses and then the exponent here and all that stuff. And, you know, did some fractions and percentages and stuff too. But it was good. It was fun.
Did I ever show you that GIF of the Pythagorean theorem where
No.
where they twisted the thing and it was all the liquid went one way?
I
That
don't
was
think
really
so.
cool. I love that one. But yeah, no joke. That's I think the reason I wrote it down is because yeah, I wanted to mention like not only did I used to do that alone in my room in Los Banos, because that's what the tutor would do. He would just write down problems and give it to me. So I was like essentially copying him. Um, not only did I do that, but yeah, that is something that has stuck with me. That is something that I'll never forget. That is something that I remember like, hey, I enjoy math now. So, you know, I don't want to like pat you on the back. I don't, not the right word. Anyway, I don't want to be too nice about it or anything, but yeah, I think you could have legitimately changed this kid's life and made him like math, you know? And like we were saying about like how you get all excited when they do it, but then they're like whatever, you know. It's like yeah, but you don't know. You almost were down a route of hell with math and it's gonna suck so bad, but now you're down this route and you're gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be so easy. And you're gonna never gonna think about it. Never gonna think about it. Never gonna give it a second thought. But here you is. You're doing this. So yeah, that's amazing. I'm really glad you're doing that.
There was one thing I said once. So kind of as a joke, at one point I started calling my boyfriend Mi Rey. That's his nickname, which is my king. And around that time when that joke started, it stuck in my head because, you know, it was a brand new thing. And this one kid, oh, it's the keep change flip, the KFC for the fractions and stuff.
I just learned.
And when you're going to divide the fractions. And I had one student who would always mess it up, and he couldn't understand the keep change flip because I was translating for him. So you didn't think like KFC, like it doesn't have the same ring to it, like you don't understand it in Spanish. And at one point I was like, no, you keep the first one. Like he would always like flip the first one. And I'm like, no, you keep the first one. He's the king, okay? And then like literally weeks later, we had a new girl and she also only spoke Spanish. So she was put in our little group and she didn't know how to do it. And he's like, you keep the first one. It's the king. And I was like, oh, like you don't even think that stuff's gonna stay. And I laughed so hard. And I was just like, the king.
Oh, that's adorable.
Like I didn't think that was gonna work, but it
I
did.
remember when I was substituting, well, when I was helping Regina substitute in Mexico teach English, um, there was one kid who this class was teaching him music essentially, and it's never been more confusing to me to try to teach a child rhythm. Like, how do you teach a kid a beat? You know, it's like just, and he's like, he's just like, he's just not clicking. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's a song to do it to, by Shakira, I'm 90% sure. And like the beat, the song like she does, you know, it goes like something like that, you know, there's a little bit of a rhythm to it. And yeah, dude, it was like I was trying to teach him like the metronome, just all right, let's just start with number one, you know, here's the bit. And yeah, he's like trying to mimic my like movements. And I'm like, no, it's not the movement. It's not this. I'm not teaching you this. I'm trying to, it's not here. It's not like, it's in here. And he's like, no, like, no. It was so hard for me. I could not do it. I'm not the best teacher is what I'm getting at.
Got it.
You might have had a little bit more better patience. Um, so I love where this went. I love how it went. And I think to put the final tie, like the bow on it, you know, is that essentially we were talking about schoolwork and how it's impacted your life when you're a child, as you've gotten older, and hopefully into the future, and how during that time you've not only like seen a lot of things, but yeah, you've been able to help. You've taken that transition from student to teacher, which is also to you partially student, which is cool.
Yeah.
I have written down humanity. I have written down the vibe, because that's how I took it. Like the general vibe, you know, it's like a teaching environment. You don't want a negative vibe. You want a positive. There's a teaching environment vibe there. So humanity, the vibe / working together. Do you want to like kind of end on that, like an idea that you like, maybe a story even where like you really felt that one day, or something
I
that.
mean, for me, it's more like I've worked with lots of teachers, some phenomenal. Like I think I'm really lucky by the connections I've made with kids and the things that I've been able to do with these kids. But there are teachers that I've worked with where I'm like, there's no way I'll even get to their level. Like they are just God's gift to earth, everything I want to be, my mentors, my role models, like phenomenon.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing. And then there are other teachers who were the absolute worst, and it hurt to be there. It was just heartbreaking. Um, but what I've noticed is I was actually really lucky because I wasn't the commanding teacher in there. I definitely got a lot of respect from the kids. You know, sometimes it didn't happen, but that happens with any teacher. But you know, even though they saw me as a teacher and they did call me like a teacher or whatever, like it wasn't my classroom, it wasn't my rules. And so I was kind of a little more to the side and they saw me a little bit friendlier. So I was lucky in that way to access them in that way. Um,
Yeah, it was a different
it,
dynamic.
yeah, it is a little bit different. So I know when I have my own classroom, I'll still have that element still in my own classroom because that's how I'm going to run it anyways. Like I'm not just going to change all of a sudden the way I've been doing it now. But obviously it'll be my lay of the land and I'll be in control of it. But from what I've noticed from lots of different classrooms is like some of them are very authoritative and some are much more of a community. And the way that I've always handled every situation, regardless of how the teacher ran it, was very much like with an underlying thing of humanity and just understanding like we're all here together, like we're all here like for a purpose, if it's to learn math, if it's, you know, because your parents, like I remember one of my students saying like to one of the teachers just being like my dad works in the fields and my mom is like works at a laundromat, so I can get a good education, so like what are we learning here, like what's the point? And I was like, tell him, yes, learn something, like proud of you, go for your education. Like when I was a kid, like yes, I enjoyed school, but I wasn't like are you going to teach me something right now because you're wasting my time. Like it's like go you, yes. So for me, like I just wanted to treat them all equal and let them feel like this was a safe place and I was a safe person to talk to and that I loved them even though they drove me insane sometimes. Like I had one student, I mean, I've had quite a few students that have been difficult, but one in particular, Like he would just get in trouble all the time. And like him and I had some issues. Like sometimes when we would hit a certain point, like it was just no going back. And mainly for him, it was when I would put him in steps, because at the school I worked at, they had something called steps, where if you would get in trouble, then you'd be like step 1, which is kind of like a glorified timeout. And then it keeps escalating if you keep escalating the situation. And anytime like he'd have to go to steps because he did do something he shouldn't have been doing, because he's a little bit of a troublemaker, and it's like stupid stuff, he would just lose it. Like he would like bang his head against the cement wall and all this stuff, and like try and get himself to bleed and all this stuff. And it's just like, can you not? Like, but at the same time, like he would get to that point really quick at times. But I also felt really lucky because he we had like, you know, he understood after a while that when he was in that situation, like if I had to get him in trouble for something, like I wasn't really attacking him. A lot of my students realized when I would put them in step 1, sometimes, you know, it was like, yeah, you are in deep trouble and like you need to be removed from the situation. But most of the time it's like they would do something stupid, and like I would have them have their little timeout, and I'd come back up to them and I'd be like, so what'd you do? Like what genius thing did you do to be here? And they're like, well, I did this. I'm like, okay, can you not do that stupid thing so I don't have to waste time to come talk to you about this when I could be doing something else? Like,
if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have to have this conversation with me.
yeah, I know, how embarrassing. And so like I made it kind of fun, and they did listen and they respected it, and I felt really happy about that. Like I also had another student who was super difficult, and I love him to death, but oh my gosh, on the first days of school I was like, this kid is going to be the end of me. He's like the worst, like I can't. And on my last days when I left, because I had to leave for reasons of my own choosing, uh, he was like, Miss, and I was like, yeah. He's like, you're the first teacher who's ever gotten me in trouble at this school, and you're my favorite. And I was like, thank you, I guess. And he's like, you always like called me out on everything I did, and not all the other teachers did. And I was like, well, I guess someone had to, and it would be nice if you like did not. I'd rather you didn't do any of those things, but I guess I'm glad. So like I'm just glad that I've been able to like make those connections with those kids too. Like those bad kids, like maybe they have stuff going on at home, whatever, like maybe it's those blocks, like, and they just freak out and whatever, like you don't know what anyone else is going through. But I'm not trying to freak out on anyone about stuff, and I just want it to be like, we're all in this together, we're all humans, let's show a little humanity and work together.
I've actually had kind of that mentality recently of like, anyone who's in a healthy mindset, who's just, you know, feeling good about themselves and is happy and doing good things, is not out causing pain or harm or doing anything wrong to anyone. So it's like anytime I ever see anyone do anything that just seems in any way negative, I'm just like, that's a cry for help.
Yeah.
That's a cry for, like, if that person was more mentally healthy, they would not be reacting like this. You shouldn't look at the symptom, you should look at the cause.
Yeah, and that's a lot. Like so much of that is in teaching too, and it's so heartbreaking. Like, because you have to get into case files, and you have to be considered into like social work and all this stuff, and put in like reports and everything, and you know, have to be a mandated reporter, and just so many things. So some of it's heartbreaking. And I mean, I have had to deal with students coming to me and telling me super personal things, and the police had to get involved, and that was heartbreaking too. And I remember, you know, just having the worst time with it and having to be there because she didn't feel comfortable telling her mom about the things that were happening. And so she asked me to be in the room with her, and it's just heartbreaking. Like this stuff is tough, but it's not just like, okay, 2 + 2 is 4. Frick, I almost said 5.
Not just that.
So I mean, like, it's not just that, like it's so much more, and it's heartbreaking. And I have left school crying multiple times, some good, some bad, but it's everything, and I'm so glad that I could be there for them.
If you don't mind me asking, it does feel very dynamic, and obviously, I don't know if you know, I've been to a school or two, so I kind of understand the vibe, but excuse me. You say you like the humanity, the positive vibe, or yeah, working together. So humanity and working together doesn't always mean positive. Sometimes it's when stuff goes down and things are terrible, but like you said, the humanity and working together kicks in. It's the okay, what now? What are we gonna do? Like we could admit that this is happening. We could admit that we have students here that need trouble, or that I mean that are looking for trouble. But yeah, it's like, now what are we gonna do? It's a very yeah, it's a place of intellectuals. It's a place of thinkers. It's a place where people don't just sit in their own poop all day in their own dirty diaper and then just complain. They go, okay, here's the dirty diaper, let's change it. So yeah, do you think that might be kind of like that vibe that you're talking about that you like?
Well, more for what I mean, I meant like specifically in my classroom, like because every classroom is a different vibe. So that's definitely for me. Like everyone's equal. Obviously, like I am the teacher, so I'm a little higher, but I don't make myself seem like I'm higher or better than them. Like I have told, or like I have gotten some kids on steps, like specifically that one kid, but lots of times, like I've gotten lots of kids on steps, and when I come to ask them like what happened, they refuse to talk to me, which that automatically turns into a step two. But instead of me escalating it too, like I'd be like, hey, like, why are you angry? Like, just tell me what you're feeling. Like, are you angry? Are you ticked? Do you hate me? And I'm like, you're not wrong for feeling any of those things. Like, if you feel those things, own it for sure. I'm not saying you're wrong, but let's talk about it so we can figure it out and so this doesn't happen again. And then usually they almost always talk to me after that and they're like, well, yeah, I'm angry at you because you did this. I'm like, okay, I think that's valid. You have every right to be angry about that. But should you have been doing this for me to react that way? And they're like, no. Okay, well, let's work on that. And
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah, I'd say a lot of kids don't get listened to. They get talked at.
I agree. Yeah. And I just think like the validation, like there's no like they're human beings. Like
Yeah,
let them feel what they need to feel.
they tap into consciousness pretty quick and they understand mostly what we understand, but we just have more experience, more
Yeah.
understanding. But yeah, we're experiencing the same stuff essentially. But yeah, I think that's also the funny thing is like people kind of, I mean, I've obviously always been childish, immature in a sense, like silly. And so around kids, like I kind of get it. Like I get along with kids. But I always felt like certain people want to, but don't allow themselves to because it's like they're afraid. I don't know. But anyway, it is 9 o'clock. We did do 3 hours. We made it to three. Hey, want to appreciate you for doing that. Being someone who's super busy, being someone who worked today, and being that we couldn't do this yesterday. This was a lot, and honestly, I'm super happy how this went. I'm super happy.
Yay.
I
I'm
think you
glad.
and I had a really good conversation. I mean, I think there was a tiny lull, and you know me, I'm just being real. Um, I think there was a tiny lull in the middle where, yeah, it's like we're still figuring it all out and stuff. But right after that lull, it picked right back up. We were having real conversation. It was entertaining. I was hoping people were tuning in because I'm like, she's saying some cool shit right now. Stuff, not bad. So anyway, I wanted to tell you I'm really happy about this. I think this really went well. Mostly, I wouldn't change anything. Now, speaking of that, is there anything you want me to change when I'm editing the podcast? I do have the name here. I have it written down in the timestamp. Um, so here's how it works for me right now. The live stream is almost over. We can't do anything else about that. Once the live stream is over, the video is gonna instantly get uploaded. But to be honest, I'm gonna delete that one. I'm going to edit my video, this 3-hour video. I'm gonna edit my video, like I said, like so it shows each person when they're talking.
Yeah.
I'll take out the name on that one, but I'm probably not gonna take anything else out. I'm probably gonna leave it as is. For your podcast, for your little audio clip that I'm going to clip out and say this is Adri's podcast on my podcast, I'm gonna do most of the editing. Obviously, I'm gonna clip out lulls that I think don't need to be there and subjects that don't add up. And yeah, I want it to just be clean. Like here's the topic. Obviously, I'll take out the name. Do you want any and all cuss words bleeped taken out, or for your podcast?
Yeah, I would rather, and I don't think on my podcast I did. I was very wary of it because I know you may think this is stupid, but I do take it very seriously. And they say, like, you know, I've seen so many teachers get in so much trouble for stuff that's posted online that anyone can record or use against them. And I get that I'm not working for the school district right now, but that doesn't make a difference. So that's the thing. I'm just afraid that something was said. Like, I didn't think that my students would have access to it. So that's the only thing that has scared me. So I know that my podcast, I think I'm pretty safe. I stayed away from all names. I didn't say what schools I worked at. I didn't give any personal information. I just gave instances. And I'm pretty sure I didn't curse, so that's great. But yeah, on the stuff prior, that's the only thing where when I realized that you sent it out to everyone, I was like, "Ooh." But that's it.
What about when I'm talking to you and during your podcast, I might have cursed. Do you want me to bleep that?
I think that's fine.
So it's okay if I curse, but not you. You're
I
better.
mean,
You're like on this level of people who don't curse, and you're like, oh, you can do that. You can be one of them. Is that it?
not for one of them, but I have a career that I really am trying to pursue and stuff. And like, from what I understand, like what you say should not affect my actions. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with anything you say. And I've also am trying to say that, like, I believe that we're all different and we're all humans and we should be accepted. But I also know that from what I've learned from the career that I'm trying to get, that some things can get me in trouble. And I'm trying to stay away from that.
I get that. I think I was being more sarcastic, but sorry if it didn't come through. I'm not good at it. So my
It seemed a
stuff,
little condescending, but I was like, no, I'm just going to explain it.
I just figured you knew me. Like I would obviously never be like, oh, you think you're better than me? Like I would never say that. So I thought that was an easy thing to say. But I don't know. It's fine. I'm not good at sarcasm yet. Not gonna bleep my stuff. I'll make sure your stuff is clean. Yeah, we don't need to reorganize anything. That's gonna be a simple one. That's gonna be a clean one. You know, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it was all really good. Like, it felt good and it was good flowing. And I don't think there were lots of bad stuff. I don't. Like, I felt like it was pretty good.
The only thing is that I think like 3/4 in, I think we changed topic a little bit. Like I think I asked you like about like the positive vibes, and then you were talking about like some struggles you've had. But from there, like I really learned like, oh, it's not just the positive vibes, it's like the humanity, like they're working together. So now I think about it, no, I probably want to keep that in too. So yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I'm so happy. It's like we had an intro, we talked about it, we came up with an outline, we did a podcast, and it's like, oh no, that was smooth. That went well. I said some stuff, some ideas came out. What was the division, the 7 division?
Long 7.
Long 7? Like, I love that came out, you know? It's, so yeah, now it's essentially goodbyes and thank yous and when do you want to be on next time? And oh my gosh, episode 1, dude. Thank you for this. This is
Yeah, for sure.
This is very exciting for me. Doing my own
Just so
radio.
you know, I've had my makeup on for 3 hours. Now I'm gonna take it off, go straight to bed, right here.
Yeah. I'm right there. I don't have makeup. I'll be what's gonna be my equivalent. Honestly, I'm gonna slouch so hard once this turns off. Like I'm gonna be like, oh, that's so nice. Like, yeah, my back is killing me. I've been like trying to hold up straight the whole time. Um, but yeah, that's it. Uh, did I tell you that Daddy said he wants to be on? Oh yeah, and he mentioned that he said he was gonna watch. But when I was over at his house, I couldn't get it on YouTube. Don't get me started. It was a big fiasco. So I'll just have to send him the video later. But yeah, he's gonna watch this video. He wanted to see us. He wanted, and yeah, he wants to be on. And I want him to be on. I think it'll be great to hear those stories. Um, dude, I want like
That would
all.
be really interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Dude, this is I don't think anyone's been seeing the vision I've been seeing. But yeah, it's like it's almost convenient that I haven't talked to anyone in like almost a decade because now I get to call them up and have like these really cool conversations and record them all and monetize my family. Yay!
I think like, yeah, I definitely didn't understand the vision, but again, like I told you, like I support you, especially if you're going through something positive and this is a new venture, like let's do it. Like, yeah. And the fact that I could be a part of it, cool. But the fact that like the whole family and like I hate that all the family asked me about you and I'm like, I don't even know, man. Like I barely hear from him either, but I know that they hear even less and it is kind of heartbreaking, but I'm so excited that this is kind of not necessarily a family reunion, but that you guys are going to catch up and everything. I think that's so exciting. I never would have thought anything like this would ever happen.
Exactly. That's exactly why this felt so special to me is because it didn't feel like it was just for me. It was this was an excuse for me to grow into the person that I want to be. Like, because I want to be close to my family, but it's tough. I'm not that person.
Mhm.
I'm not that but for some reason, if you put it on social media, if you put it live, oh, I'm that person. Yeah, let's do it. So it's like I'm glad I think I finally found where I can find this balance with my family and with myself. So it feels great and I hope yeah, you're episode 1 and dude, we're gonna be like episode 50, like, oh yeah, that was so long ago. And like, look at this. I can't wait. I can't wait. All
And
right.
we'll get Dr. Cooper on here for sure.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. And like my family's gonna be like, oh, you should talk to this guy, you should talk to that guy. Like already Diego met Diego today. Ah, I love life. Life's going great. Adri, I love you. You're my favorite of all my sisters. You know that. And yeah, do you wanna sign off? What's up?
I'm gonna see if I can call her real quick. Since
Oh,
she was on the phone with her mom earlier. She's like, I'm on the phone with my dad. Whatever. Hello, how are you?
oh.
Good. Just so you know, do you remember I told you that my brother asked me to be on his podcast? Well, I'm on it right now, and now you are on it.
Yay! I don't hear her.
Playing video games, wearing a face mask, and is this what you told me about earlier today?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was more of things like, I was in contact with her and send all that text to you back, and he's like, oh, I'm explaining that horses can't throw up.
Yes, because of the combination they were wearing. But rabbits and rats also are incapable of vomiting.
Oh, and rats are incapable of vomiting. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you that I was talking to my brother and I told him that I thought that you should be his like first guest. And he said that obviously, well, first guest, that's my, stake, but he would love to have you on. So are there topics for said podcasts or whatever? Well, basically, apparently, my brother can barely hear you on the phone. So I'm going to probably end this conversation pretty soon. But I will talk to you all about that when I see you next, which is probably next week. She is excited. She says hi.
I'm excited too.
Okay, perfect. Hannah Cooper coming soon. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
obviously have no idea where my mic is, okay? So we'll just.
And then yeah, what happened was like the mic didn't know whose voice it was picking up, so then it was hard to hear you half the time too. So I was like, you just muzzled completely out. Okay, literally tell me what just happened.
So Dr. Cooper, someone I work with, really smart, really fun. The way she explains things is another level. Like, she's someone where I keep telling her, like, I want you to be my teacher, and I want you to be a teacher. Like, you'd be the best teacher. And she's just like, she's so much fun and she's so smart. And I mean, like right now, she's like, I'm wearing my mask and playing video games. I'm like, okay. Like she's just super cool and just chill, but really intelligent. Her dad is a legit rocket scientist, and everything. Yeah. So she has super interesting stories. She used to live in France and all this stuff. Like just great, great, all this good stuff. So yeah, she said that she's very excited to be on the podcast one day and coming soon. Stay tuned.
I'm also very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. That's really cool. Uh, this is awesome. Yeah, we gotta. You and I will be texting and figure out a date, and hopefully you'll text her and figure out a date. And thanks, that was a cool. Dude, I was already saying like this went so well, and then like she called or you called her. I'm like, it couldn't go. All right, I've peaked. This is it. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Love you.
Love you. Good night. Have a great night.
Bye.